and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With the 1 o'clock headlines, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. It's a conversation that'll last for a lifetime. VAR denying West Ham a goal in the dying moments last night. It split the football community down the middle. Some saying it was the right decision, others say it was wrong. IFAB, meanwhile, will look at grappling in the penalty areas after the World Cup. Arsenal invincible Martin Keown has an idea, though.
What probably needs to happen next season is if your opponent is marking you in the box, holding on to you, not even looking at the ball, and the ball is delivered, absolutely. I think maybe we're looking at an immediate red card.
Agreed. But we shouldn't be also...
Let's do something radical to change that.
Meanwhile, London's Metropolitan Police says 4 people were arrested, 2 of which for assault after we understand a steward had their arm broken. So West Ham are now teetering on the brink of relegation. Spurs can open up a 4-point gap tonight if they beat the already safe Leeds, live and exclusively on talkSPORT. And Frank Warren says Saturday night in Manchester was maybe one of the best boxing events he's ever put on.
The main event was just unbelievable. Unbelievable fight. 2 absolute warriors who gritted their teeth and gave everything. And the place was rammed out, it was sold out, and everybody there they were just enthralled by it.
But there's been a bit of a throwback for how long Fabio Wardley fought on. Jim White's exclusively spoken to Daniel Dubois' father, who says there's no way he would have allowed the fight to carry on if it was his son.
I would have insisted that they stopped it. I was looking at it and I'm thinking, why are they doing that? Why don't someone stop it? Because he can get permanent damage. At least give him a chance to come back and fight another day.
Get all the fallout to a massive weekend of boxing on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
A Labour MP is collecting names of colleagues who want the Prime Minister to resign by September. And stonemasons fitting quartz kitchens are getting a fatal lung disease. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. The tyre transfer window is hotting up and we've signed a multi-generational talent with Continental Tyres. Visit quickfit.com and book today.
Patchy rain across central areas moving southwards. Sunny spells elsewhere, but a few showers over northern Scotland and eastern coasts of England, where it's breezy.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, what the heck are we going to talk about, Andy?
Ooh, I don't know.
What a terribly quiet weekend of sport that was.
It was. Coming over the next 3 hours, former Premier League ref Graham Scott on the way forward after yesterday's mayhem at the London Stadium.
Yeah.
Heavyweight Fraser Clarke on recovering from a brutal night's boxing, Former Leeds keeper Nigel Martyn weighs in on that rare decision and tells us why he's coming out of retirement to represent England at cricket.
Yeah, that's right.
No.
England wicket keeper. He'll tell us more later on. We'll also be joined in the studio by the Rugby League Challenge Cup final skippers Elliot Minchalla and Liam Farrell, and we'll get the former Millwall striker Steve Morrison's take on the Championship playoffs and also playing without pressure.
Yeah, I hope those games are better than the first legs. There's
always going to be cagey, won't
yeah.
there?
There's all this plus West Ham reaction to yesterday's controversial defeat. Andy Brassel guides us around Europe. And we'll get a Spurs angle on one of their most important nights in years. That's true.
Sure is. It is 5 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy.
Good afternoon, Paul. And I won't be commenting on the Chelsea game because I watched James Martyn's Saturday Kitchen.
Oh, did you?
I couldn't face it. I didn't even look at my phone. I thought, that's it. I'll do a bit of drawing. I'll watch a bit of telly. I just couldn't. And surprising.
Maybe we should build an alternative listing today. Things you watched on telly instead of watching your team play football. Because they're the sort of things... Maybe it was because you were... There may have been Arsenal fans yesterday thinking, I can't watch the last half hour, watch Celebrity Catchphrase.
It's true.
Because of the nerves. So we're going to kick off. What's on the alternative football listings today? The games you couldn't watch. We kick off with James Martyn's Saturday Kitchen. And I have a roll call of things you watched instead of the game and why. Whether it was you couldn't stand to watch your terrible team because they're terrible or... the nerves. What did you watch instead? So we kick us off with James Martyn's Saturday Kitchen here on talkSPORT.
I did enjoy the dive of the season from Cunha of Manchester United.
Yeah, Mr. Grimsdale.
It was sensational.
Yeah.
Almost equal by the backwards dive of the season by Sandro Tonali.
Oh, yeah, yeah, the Cunha one was a corker, wasn't it? It's almost like you didn't realise any cameras were trained on him at any one point.
Marvellous, isn't it? Fantastic. It was the 40th anniversary of I Didn't Get Many With Me, Ed. Trevor Brooking.
So Trevor, that's it. Yeah, this is the FA Cup final win, kids, when they won the game. And was it Stuart Pearson's shot? It was, wasn't it? Stuart Pearson had to sort of put a ball in, didn't he? Am I going mad?
I can't remember. I can remember that.
Sam Delaney's on later. He'll remember it. And Trevor got his nut on it. And as Trevor always, I say, I didn't get many with my head. He never got many with his head, did he?
He didn't.
But that was enough.
It was.
And who was that game against? Arsenal.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, I mean, look, rest assured, how do you bring anything new to the table on a subject like that? Because we've said it all in a way.
It's a good thing that it happened in a way because it is going to mean people are going to talk about it in the summer. The PGMOL, the Premier League, they've got to do something about this. I mean, everybody knows Arsenal have got. They were so lucky. Yes, they've got away with this. They've blocked keepers all season. There's just a succession of goals. They're all online. You can see them. And it's it was a foul yesterday, but so were all the others.
Sure.
And there were fouls even before the foul on Raya. So it just needs sorting. There's no question about it.
I mean, Darren Cann, the former Premier League assistant referee, was on Match of the Day 2 last night. Was talking about an idea that attacking players can't go into the box until
the ball's kicked.
Until the ball is kicked. So you don't get all that grappling. You get that movement.
What you'll do is you'll get it outside the box. Yeah. All the grappling will be outside the box. That's the problem. The problem with trying to change football, whenever they try to change the handball, the offside, this, that, there's always coaches, there's always people who try and find a way around it. And that's half the problem. The
simplest thing to do is to penalise grappling. I mean, not all of it. I mean, see, I'm tying myself in knots now. But if you didn't have VAR, and we'll come on to that in a moment, if you just had the officials in charge making the calls, if they made more calls and said, no, that was too much, I don't mind a little bit of jostling, but you were holding him, you were pulling his shirt, you were pulling him down. Stuff that everybody gets away with now that isn't penalised. If you penalise that, in the end, players would have to stop doing it because the game would get stopped all the time.
And the rule that you can't be called for a foul until the ball's actually kicked in the air, that causes a load of problems as well. And,
but no, I could see what Darren Cann was saying last night, but it's come to something when we have to start making big changes to the rules when all we've really got to do is say to the referees, you've got carte blanche to blow your whistle and say, no, I'm not having that. It's a free kick the other way.
Yeah.
I think I think we've all decided, haven't we, that if we all said, okay, let's think people who are invested. I was talking to Max, our exec producer, who's a West Ham fan, and he's in the stadium. He's obviously invested. This is could be one of the greatest moments. It could be his team staying up. Another team not winning the title because
it'd be huge.
Which is why you go to football as a football fan. Isn't it? Why you pay your money.
Huge decision.
So 5.5 minutes of not knowing what's happening later, their goal is chalked off. So you think if you said to all season ticket holders of Premier League clubs, okay, because you've got the vested interest, you're the ones that are sort of going and spending money at your club. If we all sat down, all the 20 clubs, all season ticket holders had a vote on whether we got rid of VAR or not. I reckon it would be a landslide against, don't you?
Oh, it would, but they're not going to do that because TV companies love it. They love the drama. But then we were watching Rugby League in preparation for our guests coming in this afternoon. And it works so much better. Everybody can hear what the official is deciding, what the referees... people have criticised Gary Neville for telling us what is being said over...
But if he doesn't, who's going to?
We've got to hear that. We want to hear that. We're entitled to hear that. We should hear that. If they've got VAR, that should be part of the process. Yeah. It is in every other sport.
I mean, look, this is not the most startlingly original comment, but the bottom line is we all wanted VAR, and we spoke to our old mate Danny Kelly about this. He was very keen. And then now realises it was a terrible error. I think a lot of us are like that. We thought it will stop all this. It will stop all the arguments about officials. And it hasn't. So on that basis, what's the point? Aren't we just... OK, now and again you'll get sawn off and you'll be in a crowd saying, if only we'd had VAR. I mean, we're going to talk later on about the women's football at the weekend. Chelsea could have been 3-0 up in their game against City. City probably not a way back for City in that game at 3-0. No. And there's an argument whether a ball went out before it was crossed in for a goal. But you have to take that, really.
Oh yeah. If you don't want VAR, you do have to.
Yeah. So you just have to suck that up. But we'd all have to suck it up, and I think as football fans, we would be prepared to. I think we say, okay, that was a hateful experiment. We can't quite believe we all went along with it. It didn't work, but for all the reasons, look, we're all sitting here talking about it. We're all invested in it.
We had the third round of the Cup where everybody went, wow, what a great weekend that is.
Yeah.
It was such a relief.
Look, there's plenty of reasons. Look, let us know. If you think it's brilliant, do let us know. So I've never watched anything else while Arsenal are on the TV, but yesterday during the VAR decision, I was running around speed tidying the house with my fingers in my ears. There's Matt in Islington. That's what he does to you. I watched all of the Spurs Villa game just walking around the kitchen. It must have done about 4 miles.
It was a strange performance from Arsenal. I mean, they're clearly the best team. I think they deserve to win it. They are the best team in the country. They're in the right position. But they're unlovely. They're not an easy team to watch or enjoy the way they play. They get stuck, and they find a way, which is fine. That's great. That's great for them.
Teams that win the title, that's what they do.
But, well, not always. City's teams that win the title didn't just find a way. They did it in style, So, it depends whether it matters to you or not. I don't know.
Not if you're an Arsenal fan.
No, it doesn't matter at all.
It doesn't matter at all, does it? I'm looking at one now through the glass. Do you care that it's not being done in style? No, I think there's a very definite shake of the head.
Of course they don't. But from a neutral point of view, they're not an easy team to really enjoy.
They can play some great stuff. I mean, it's a really well-worked goal. The goal they scored, isn't it? Lovely little 1-2.
Bit of a deflection, wasn't it? Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the player's in the right position to do it. I mean, far be it from me to defend Arsenal, but I think you're being a bit churlish there. Anyway, we are going to talk to Graham Scott, the former Premier League referee, in a few moments' time, writing for The Athletic these days. And I know he's done a little piece today, and we'll get his thoughts on the way forward, because we all know what we saw, and we all have our opinions on what we saw. And we're going to have a chat with Sam Delaney, the West Ham fan.
I'm going to ask him why they booed, not all of them, but why they booed Declan Rice. I don't get that. He basically won the Conference Trophy with them. He got the club £100 million profit. What do they want? I don't get
a panto, isn't it?
I think it's a bit off. I think it's
I mean, look, there was a lot riding on it for West Ham, so they maybe thought that anything that can give us a bit of an advantage.
Maybe. Well, Sam can.
They did stick him at right back at one point, which didn't seem like a particularly good idea. Fraser Clarke's going to join us for a chat. Fraser had 6 months out of the ring after some pretty nasty injuries inflicted by Fabio Wardley a few years back, and we'll look back on, and that wasn't, there's only one word for it. It's been used a lot today and over the weekend. It was brutal. It was a bit like PSG Bayern Munich. It wasn't a great deal of defending going on. Just two guys slugging it out, and we're heavyweights. That was a tough old watch at times, but if you love your boxing, a brilliant watch as well. So we'll get Fraser Clarke's take on it. Nigel Martyn, ex-Leeds, something to talk about tonight. We'll get his take on what happened with David Raya yesterday. And, he is coming out of retirement to play for England at cricket. He'll tell us more about that. Elliot Minchella and Liam Farrell will be here. They're the two Challenge Cup finalists, of course. Wigan Hull KR won their semi-finals at the weekend. They're bringing in the trophy, one of the great sporting trophies.
It is.
As well. Challenge Cup trophy, so they'll be in a bit later. Steve Morrison on tonight's playoff game live on talkSPORT, Millwall, Hull, and Andy Brassel with all the latest from around Europe, including Barca, of course, winning La Liga. So a busy show. To get in touch, those alternative shows you watched because you couldn't face watching your team. Andy watched James Martin's Saturday Kitchen instead of Chelsea versus Liverpool the other day. talkSPORT.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J. 03717223344, and you can weigh in on anything else, including all the mayhem of yesterday. But Graham Scott, the former Premier League ref of recent vintage, joins us next. We're here, of course, with our very good friends at Toolstation. You can join the Toolstation Trade Club and get 10% off all electrical and lighting products when you buy cables and flexes. First stop...
Content creator and Palace fan Ollie Thomas is with us this morning. A very good morning to you, Ollie. How are you?
Morning, Ollie.
Morning. I'm good. I'm a bit tired, as you can imagine, but I'm good. And thanks, Dean. You're right. We are the best fans in the world.
It's debatable. It's debatable, Ollie. I'm joking. I have a soft spot for Palace. My sister plays for Palace. They just got promoted, and yeah, I mean, fair play to them. Your manager, I mean, the fact that he is leaving and he might win a third trophy before he goes is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's obviously sad that he's going, but I think it could have turned a bit sour and did turn a bit sour at the start of the calendar year. And fair play to Steve Parish, who held his own and didn't sack him. And it's now kind of become a nice send-off. And I think everyone wants to win it for Glasner as well, rather than it being like a bitter goodbye, I suppose. I think we've channeled that departure really well. And yeah, I'm feeling confident. It's weird watching a Palace team that just repeatedly turns up in big games. Like, I'm just not used to it. Every single big game we've basically ever had under Glasner, we've turned up, played really well. So hopefully we can do it one more time.
Why do you think he's leaving the club? I'm trying to work it out myself. Because he must realise that
wasn't
Palace
guaranteed. I mean, they got rid of the best players and they didn't replace them. And he'd won trophies, and they still hadn't got that right. Would that be it, Ollie? Would you think he was frustrated with how the club has been run?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he basically did exactly the same thing when he was at Wolfsburg and Frankfurt. Like, the timelines are very similar in terms of he comes to a club, starts really well, does really well, and then falls out with the board. And he's been obviously very open about the fact that he didn't think we should have sold Eze, didn't think we should have sold Gahey, or at least when we sold.
Kush Jumbo and Peter Capaldi! Just so happens that it's all "you're amazing." Right. Paul White! Sir Lenny Henry!
I was face down and the dog sniffed my crotch. It was very, very embarrassing.
Staying out for the summer.
Your game when you're hungry, it's a sign for Snickers.
83 minutes on the clock. West Ham 0, Arsenal 1.
They need
need a moment like Vincent Kompany against Leicester City. That moment's been provided by Martin Ødegaard.
It's over the line. West Ham have equalised. Callum Wilson, and in stoppage time, it is West Ham 1, Arsenal 1.
VAR are checking a possible handball. Was David Raya held back here? There was holding inside the penalty area. There was a push on David Raya. Was he impeded?
As Pablo is the offender, according to Chris Kavanagh. He was called over to the screen by Darren England.
I think the amount you have to look at it, right, it's not clearing over us.
But I do think, actually, you can justify the decision.
It finishes here, West Ham 0, Arsenal 1.
So pivotal with this.
I mean, it is VAR's biggest moment in this country, definitely, isn't it? And who knows, we may see a similar sort of thing in the World Cup. Joining us now, a man who's operated VAR and been the man in the middle, the former Premier League referee and athletic columnist, Graham Scott. Hi, Graham.
Good to be back.
Yeah, good to talk to you. Wow, where do you start to unpack all that, really? I suppose let's look at the... We are going to go on to what the answer is, but let's just unpack what you saw as a referee. Put yourself in the shoes of the ref yesterday.
I think as the ref, it's one of those typical corners now where you've got such a packed area, you can't see through bodies, there's so much going on, there's a bit of holding here and a bit of holding there, you've got a lot of it going on before the ball's in play, which you can't penalise. If you go in and separate people just groan and wish you wouldn't. If you wait for the play to play out, what you're going to penalise, what you're not. You no way that Chris Kavanagh can see that arm across the goalkeeper's chest. So you allow the goal to stand. You've also got the added complication of, well, now my watch is going off, and what's that process? So there's so much going on in such a short amount of time. I think inevitably as a referee, you think, okay, I can't be sure enough to intervene based on what I've seen and heard, so I'm going to allow the goal to stand.
You've been a VAR, so then put yourself in the position of the guys at Stockley Park. What do you make of the way they handled it?
I think they've handled it really well. Although, I mean, my preference in the moment was for the goal to stand, but I actually think it is the correct decision because it is a foul, and therefore probably, now I've had a bit more time to think about it, we'd probably say, yeah, fair enough, it is an intervention. But I mean, I'd probably still be there, to be honest, if I was doing it, because it's just so much to process. There's a lot going on. It is a foul on the goalkeeper. He's impeded. There's an arm across him. And I know there's a lot of goes on with goalkeepers at corners now. And they used to be protected species. When I played in goal, you got a free kick every time anyone touched you. But that doesn't happen anymore. But most of that contact is relatively incidental as the ball's coming across. And it's little bit of a block, but not much more. This was quite a significant, arm across the chest that has stopped him challenging for the ball in the way that he was intending. So I think it is a foul. The problem with VAR, as we know, is it's not whether or not it's a foul, it's whether it's a clear and obvious error. And I'm not entirely convinced, but then I've just said that I think it's a foul, so surely at that point it is a clear and obvious error.
What about the fouls that were going on around that happened, they said after, but they weren't. They were while the ball was in the air. Before the ball there were two clear fouls in the area. Yeah. He said he could easily have given a penalty, couldn't he?
He could try and unpick those forensically one at a time. You probably would still be there if you really went through every corner like that, because we'd have had to have gone through every other corner in the game as well, by the way, not just this one, because it's in the last minute. So it is, obviously it's very difficult, and no one's pretending otherwise. I have every sympathy for Darren England in this situation. It's really, really tough. And you don't know how the world is reacting outside. So you're in this bubble, you're in this studio, you've got this kind of sense that I've described before, the walls closing in, you're in this kind of sense of being in the tunnel of making this decision. And you don't know that the world outside isn't saying, oh my goodness, surely he's not going to disallow it for that. Oh my Lord, this would be a terrible, oh no, this is killing the game. Or, come on, ref, it's obviously a foul. What's he taking so long? So hence the sense that you do need to take your time, you need to be thorough, you need to make absolutely sure you check in with your assistant. Am I reading this right? Am I seeing this right? Then, of course, the referee's got to go to the screen and be sure, not just think, OK, I'll take your word for it. Chris has been burnt before as a ref, where he's gone to the screen, been very quick. No, I'm sticking with my decision. And actually the verdict later was actually, if you're taking your time, you might have come to a different outcome. So it's a really big call that's going to decide, well, potentially not decide anything, but it will obviously have a big bearing at both ends of the table. They're right to be careful, to be cautious, and to try to make sure they get the best possible decision they can in that moment.
Yeah, it's an unenviable position to be in, no question. I think a lot of fans, though, who aren't Arsenal fans, are very unhappy with the fact that Arsenal have been doing this all season. Blocking off keepers, obstructing keepers. This is a series of goals. You can go on social media and see them, and yet their manager doesn't see any of that, but he sees this one and goes, "What a great decision by the officials."
Yeah, he was very philosophical.
That is
interesting to see.
so typical of all managers, not just him.
He did. I think his actual line was, "Today I realised how big and difficult a referee's job is." I wonder if he gets sawn off against Burnley, which does seem unlikely but possible, maybe he'll have a different attitude.
Very, it's an epiphany, we could call it, for the Arsenal manager.
Ridiculous.
I did a meeting at Arsenal once where he was standing at the back of the room and I was talking and he suddenly started heckling me. It was really bizarre. And it was like, well, you're the manager. You don't stand at the back of the room and heckle me. Stand at the front and do it.
Oh dear.
But, so maybe he'll be more enlightened in future.
There's been a lot of talk in the past about the VAR officials should be in the stadium so they get a sense of the game. But I think maybe yesterday was an example of why you should be in a trading estate near Heathrow instead, really.
Yes, there's not a lot to be said for that trading estate near Heathrow, by the way, as a workplace, although the actual environment isn't too bad. But I think it's whenever we talk about VR, there's a flip, there's the opposite view can also apply, can't it? So we tend to say we want less of it. But then you have a decision like this, actually, well, no, we do need it for this kind of thing. So it probably is best to be detached, but it does, in some ways, it makes it harder because you don't know that. You don't have that feel. And a lot of the time as a referee, all your experience of 20 years as a ref is often based on the feel you get in the moment for what's expected, what's reasonable. And you lose that when you're in the studio. You're also used to making decisions based on one view in real time. And now you're being shown 4 or 5 angles at different speeds. And your brain processes those things differently. It doesn't. It's not the same. It's a different process.
Graham, I was saying earlier on though, yesterday's game makes you just hate VAR even more. I don't think it makes me want to feel like it's the right system. It makes me want it to go. I said earlier on that we if we've got referees and assistant referees out there doing their job, if they did penalise holding, there'd be a few weekends when it'd drive us all mad. But in the end, players would know what the parameters were and they wouldn't do it. I mean, we got VAR in to stop arguments, and all we ever do is argue about it. It's just another layer. What's the point? Let the referees and the assistant referees do their job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm largely in that camp, as you know, especially in the stadium. All we want VAR to sort out the factual errors. So obviously we want the goal line technology. We want the offsides to be done quicker than they are, but we want them to be accurate. And we want, if it's outside the box and the ref's given a penalty, let's at least get that one right. But most of the rest in the stadium, I'd rather go with what the ref's seen and accept the consequence, even though when I was a referee, I very much appreciated the howler that came along once or twice a season, or maybe not even often, but the really big bad call. You love having that put right because it obviously you don't want to drive home thinking you've cost the team the game or had a major bearing on the outcome.
We saw Andy Madley, just very quickly, and just a couple of questions for you. Andy Madley the other day not give yellows for 2 cards are upgraded for red. Yeah. We've seen in cricket sometimes umpires we feel not making decisions, allowing on technology to make the decisions for them. Are we seeing a little bit of that as well?
I don't think this is a case of it. Andy generally gives the players the benefit of the doubt. He's quite reluctant to send players straight off for tackles. He's more likely to go yellow. And I think there's a tendency for some refs to do that anyway. I don't think that's a VAR factor. But I don't really know that any more than you do. It's very difficult to tell because we can't do the controlled trial we'd like to do, which is say, well, let's have games without VAR and see what the difference is.
Well, we had the FA Cup, didn't we? And everybody loved it. And everybody felt like it was like a cold shower.
Until we had the game at Villa where there was a clear handball inside the box and given outside, and then we had a referee who really struggled to process the fact that there had been an error.
Yeah,
and now
because
I've
he'd been
got to
used to
read
working
on
with VAR, Graham. That's why.
Because he was used to having his decision. If he did make a wrong decision, he was used to having it put right, and then it's okay again.
Yeah.
Kind of. You shouldn't have made the mistake, but at least the world's been put right.
We've only got about 30 seconds, so I need you in 30 seconds to tell us how we remedy all this grappling in the box. We heard Darren Cann, the former assistant referee's take last night. Maybe no attacking players in the 6-yard box till the whistle's blown. Does that work?
Yeah,
for you?
I've mooted for that as well. Darren and I've often discussed law changes. The other possibility would be copy hockey and force teams to put players in the other half, or at least some distance away, so you create space. At least it could be policed then. From the referee's point of view, it's almost impossible to police at the moment. You've got 20 players in a 10 by 10 square. It's impossible. But at least if you said to teams, you've got to keep 3, 2, 3, 4, even 5 players, I don't know, on the halfway line or outside the penalty area, you might get a bit of a chance.
It's got to be bad when the Brighton manager gets in an MMA fighter to teach his players how to. That's how bad we've got. Don't blame Hertzler for doing it, but it is pathetic. We've got to that stage.
Brighton have had somebody to work with the players on grappling to help them at corners. Good grappling techniques, ways to get hands off of you. It's ridiculous. It is sign of the sporting apocalypse. Graham, pleasure as always. Really interesting. Thank you.
Thanks both.
Graham Scott, their former Premier League referee and athletic columnist. Nigel Martyn's going to join us a bit later on. He's coming out of retirement, former Leeds and England keeper, to play cricket for his country. He'll reflect on that rare decision. Bit of Leeds tonight, but Fraser Clarke joins us to talk boxing next. But for now, that was our look back on the weekend's Premier League action with Snickers.
Hawksbee and Jacobs Weekend Football Roundup on talkSPORT with Snickers. You're off your game when you're hungry. Grab a...
To join Arsenal was the biggest achievement in my career, but the way the things end up was a little bit not nasty. But at the end of the day, I'm happy. They are happy. They know, you know what, life goes on. If you ask me if I regret, I don't regret. I'm happy also giving them something back, because at the end of the day, if I can't represent and defend my parents, I don't know who would do it for me. So it's kind of doing my job.
You're spot on, Emmanuel. I don't blame you at all. I would have done the same, mate.
Thank you.
Looking at the title race, Manchester City messing up against Everton. How do you think it's going to go? Who do you think will win it in the end?
Who do I think will win it? If you ask me today, I will still tell you that I think Man City will win it, but I would like Arsenal to win it, because it has been over a decade. They have been fighting for that even when I was there. We were fighting for it. Obviously, in April, then sometime in March and April, it's all over. And we drop points at Wigan, at Bolton, wherever you can call it. Then we saw the league sliding out of our hand. But this year, they're doing quite well. And the good thing is that defensively, they are very good. But now they have to win the last 3 games to win the league. And obviously, Man City, again, dropping points at Everton. They will come back stronger. They will manage with their manager, with the players, with the experienced team they had. They will do everything possible to win the last 3 games and wait for Arsenal to drop points so they can be champion. But trust me, it's not going to be an easy task for both.
talkSPORT News. It's reported football's lawmakers IFAB will look at grappling at corners after this summer's World Cup. This after what's been dubbed the biggest VAR call ever, as West Ham's late equaliser against Arsenal was disallowed. Former Premier League ref Chris Foyes told us the right decision was made.
I think what you've got to do is identify the ones that are really clear. You know, those acts that have a clear material impact. But this one yesterday, as you quite rightly say, was a foul on David Raya.
The result leaves West Ham in serious relegation trouble and puts Mikel Arteta's side in the driving seat to win the title. Martin Keown's told White and Jordan Arsenal winning the Premier League and Champions League would make them better than the Invincibles.
Let's be fair, the Invincibles tag was a consolation for a team that probably should have won the treble that season. We went out of the Champions League and FA Cup in the space of 4 days.
Meanwhile, the Met Police made 4 arrests at the London Stadium, including 2 men on suspicion of assault. That's after a steward had their arm broken. Meanwhile, the new permanent memorial to Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva has been revealed by Liverpool. Jota and his brother died in a car crash last July. The memorial, Forever 20, features the lyrics to Jota's chants and will be built outside of Anfield. And Daniel Dubois' dad's told White and Jordan he wouldn't have let his son take a beating like that and says Fabio Wardley should have been pulled out earlier than Dubois' 11th round stoppage. There's loads more at the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
Well, what a weekend's boxing. What a brutal fight between Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois, with Daniel Dubois coming through in the 11th round when the fight was stopped. 2 guys on the front foot. It was brutal stuff, but if you love your heavyweight boxing, it was some spectacle. Watching in, a man who's been in the ring, of course, with Fabio Wardley, is Fraser Clarke, who joins us now. Hi, Fraser.
How you doing, lads? You all right?
Yeah, we're not too bad. I mean, look, let's get your take on the fight first. What did you make of it?
Oh, absolute spectacle. I think us as boxing fans, we were the winners on Saturday night. 2 real hungry, good fighters in a well-matched contest. You know, one refusing to give up, the other determined to win, as the both was. There was knockdowns, drama. The build-up was great, and I just want to say a massive well done to both of the fighters, because they put on something special for the boxing fans and all the fans that tuned in, and we loved it.
Now, when you fought Fabio Wardley a couple of years ago, you came out of that fight with a broken jaw. You came in and saw us a short while afterwards, so damage to your eye as well. It was 6 months till you were back in the ring, and Frank Warren has been saying, Fabio needs to heal before we talk about a rematch, but from what you saw, I mean, I think I don't know if you caught him after the fight. You were at the fight, so what's your sense of when we might see him back in the ring again? Because it looked like he got worked over a bit.
Yeah, well, I was concerned, and I made my way around to see him, but obviously he was just making his way back, and I did see him, and he was walking, he was responding, which is great to see. But yeah, he was pretty busted up. But then again, he always is. But I do think not just because it's Fabio, but he's been in a lot of fights that have been tough like that. So I think a good rest will do him well. Obviously, he'd be gutted, to lose his title, but you got to think of his health at the end of the day. And I think, so a nice rest and some time with his family is well deserved.
It was a good start by him, wasn't it? He had him down twice, but you have to admire Dubois for coming back.
Especially in light of the narrative around him, the kind of quitter narrative, which has sort of dogged him, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the way I seen it was Daniel, for all of his experiences, whether they be good or bad, his defeats, his victories, and all the stuff that's been said about him, he's obviously learned from all those situations, and that showed on Saturday night. He's been down before and he's not got up. this time, he learned a bit. He took a couple of heavy shots, took a knee, and that's called gamesmanship and that's called experience. So, I have to salute him on that. And he's obviously learned from his mistakes in the past. And he come through brilliantly, he did exactly what we know he's capable of. We've seen in glimpses, but he was consistent throughout the fight. And, obviously came out the winner.
Is a rematch for these guys probably, considering what's going on in boxing at the moment, and that Frank Warren probably doesn't want him, or Moses Atoma him with Daniel Dubois, is a rematch about the best thing for the two of them, you think, in terms of sort of a big payday?
I mean, obviously it'll be a huge fight the second time round, but I think they've both got options. I think Fabio will definitely be back, and I imagine Daniel will be chasing down some of the real heavy hitters and the big players in the division. I think if we're looking forward, we'll be wanting probably your Furies, your AJs again, maybe even Usyk again. But I think Fabio will definitely be eager to have the rematch, feel they can right the wrongs. But like I said, the world is both of these guys. They've got massive options now.
Do you think any of the injuries that Fabio Wardley's picked up could cause him issues down the road, looking at the nature of them?
Yeah, well, I believe the one, I'm only going off what I've seen. I'm not too sure about the eye, but I know the nose was busted again. And then that was, in our first fight, that was a problem for him as well, and it seemed to open up ever since. I think it started in the Nathan Gorman fight that quite actually. So it's been carrying that for a while. It seems to come open all the time. So that is a bit of an issue, but unfortunately, it's one of them things I think as well where sometimes you might be able to fix that. It's on his face. You get hit on the nose often. And I think he's learned to deal with it. But fingers crossed. I'm not sure the extent of his injuries, like I say, but hopefully he can make a full recovery and his health is still in top condition.
Now we got another heavyweight fight just around the corner. Dave Allen, Filip Hrgović. We had a chat with Dave a couple of weeks back, and it's in his backyard at Doncaster Roads. I know he's very excited about it. You've been in with Dave. You beat Dave a few years back. I mean, what do you make of this fight?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be there, speaking with talkSPORT and stuff. So I'm really looking forward to this one because I'm not. Dave looks fantastic, and everything he's portraying, he looks in fantastic spirits, in fantastic shape. Even though we know it's a massive task for him, we're Brits, aren't we? We love an underdog, and Dave is the underdog, and I think he'll embrace that. But what a scalp that would be if he could get the victory against Filip Hrgović, which is a massive ask. He's jumping up a few levels. But we love the underdog story in Great Britain, and listen, we're all behind Dave.
The thing is, it's a great story, Dave, isn't it? Because he'd probably be the first to tell you that he didn't quite know where his career was going. Then we had the Johnny Fisher fights and the controversy around that, and it was a bit of a second coming for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, you have to credit him, the people around him. I think one of the big decisions and best decisions Dave has made is where he's put himself in terms of his gym and the people he's around. Jamie Moore, Nigel Travis, and I think he's right, Pat Brown and Jack Cattrall at one time. It was such a good stable of fighters, and I think I know myself how much that can help you as a fighter. And the comeback and the turnaround of his career has been fantastic. I think there's a lot of time where he lacked belief and probably the want to go out and win big fights. He seems to have that back now in abundance. There's an energy about him. He looks younger. He looks better. And he looks like he's feeling himself, which is something you need in this sport. The confidence seems to be there. He's been in with some good names. Well, the last guy went in with Mahmudov, maybe a couple of fights ago, massive puncher. I don't think he has to worry about Filip Hrgović punching as hard as that, but technically and experience-wise, he's right up there.
And what about you, Fraser? Finally, where are you at fight-wise?
Well, I'm sitting here. I've been back in the gym for weeks now, to be honest. I'm training away. And I just want to get back in there, to be honest. After my last fight, I've took that many positives from it now. Even though it was a loss, it's hard to take. But, the general consensus from myself and from everyone around me is we're moving in the right direction. So, listen, I'm here, my phone's always on, and I want big fights. There's so many good domestic fights. That's what I mean when I say big fights. There's so many good domestic dust-ups that I could be a part of. And hopefully I'll have some news for everyone soon. And another big domestic night, if not a domestic name. I've just gone in up to world level amongst Justice Huni. Any of them guys that need to fight, I'm always here and I'm always ready.
Brilliant. Look, we wish you well, and we'll hear from you next Saturday as part of our coverage. So cheers, Fraser. Thanks very much.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Fraser Clarke there, British heavyweight, and you'll be able to listen to that fight on talkSPORT and indeed watch it on DAZN live from Doncaster next Saturday. For the week after on DAZN, it's Glory in Giza. Usyk versus the Dutch kickboxing legend Rico Verhoeven, who was in the studio with Jim and Simon a while back, for the WBC heavyweight title up for grabs. You can join DAZN Ultimate now and watch Dave Allen plus 12 or more pay-per-views a year, including Usyk versus Rico, at no extra cost.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
Let's not worry about other teams. I'm sorry, West Ham, not our problem. Okay, you lost 3-0 to Brentford. You've got 3 games. Go and beat Arsenal on the weekend. Do it yourself. Aston Villa, worry about Aston Villa. And the players, they took it easy. My daughter was there in the whole end. She's like, Dad, why is everyone walking? It was walking football from Aston Villa. But then when you see a performance like that, where they've put in 100% every player, you don't care about that. Up the Villa!
Up the Villa!
Up the Villa! Istanbul!
Do you want the hands mask? Put the hands mask on.
Gabby's putting the hands mask on. Up the Villa! Up the Villa! Up the European Villa! Istanbul! Istanbul! Let's go! Let's go, baby! Boys,
Do as anyone see. Do as anyone see.
Yeah.
Let's set it up for Gabby.
Sorry. Has anyone seen Maximus Scott? Where are you, Max? We need some news. Robin Hood, the Prince of Thieves, Sherwood Forest, Friar Tuck. Where are you, Friar? The original boots chemist. Hooters. Is Hooters closed? I used to open Hooters. Close Hooters. Shut it down. Matt Ford, do us a favour, mate. Stuart Broad, where are you? Chris Wokes, better player. Where are you? Tricky Trees. Rock City. HB Sauce, where are you? Notts Forest.
And Big Age Masters kill me. The Big Age Masters kill me.
Jumbo and Peter Capaldi! It just so happens that it's all you're amazing.
Right. Paul White! Sir Lenny Henry!
I was face down and the dog sniffed my crotch. It was very, very embarrassing.
Staying out for the summer.
Now, do you fancy £25,000 in your hand, completely tax-free? Of course you do at talkSPORT. Our competition's just got a whole lot bigger, with even more prizes up for grabs to give you that winning feeling. To celebrate, we're giving you the chance to win big with 25 grand. Get your entry in now. Here's what you have to do, Andy Jacobs.
Yes, for your chance to win, head to talksportwin.com or text WIN to 83338. Text and online entries cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343 418 7260. Entries must be in by the 18th of May 2026 at 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. It's a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksportwin.com, all one word. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 right now.
Dan and Josh are in Burton-on-Trent. They're very keen to keep VAR, basically because they've recently forked out $12.99 for a Subutio VAR screen, an official standing by the screen. Really? So rather than it being a period piece, they very much want it to stay. Thank you, chaps.
That's
anyway,
brilliant.
Something we may come on to with our next guest, but we're going to predominantly celebrate his return to representing his nation. This is Nigel Martyn, the former Leeds, Palace and England goalkeeper, who is going to be playing cricket for the England over-60s Lions.
Tremendous.
He joins us now. Hi, Nigel.
Hi, Paul. You okay?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. Look, congratulations. Another tilt at turning out for your country. How did this come about?
It came off the back of, so I live in Yorkshire and I play cricket for Cornwall over 50s. So an away trip for me is an 800-mile, or a home game is an 800-mile round trip. And your county recommends you. And because I'm turning 60 this summer, I got recommended for the over 60s. And I went along to Loughborough and trialled along with everybody else and managed to get to play a game at Ticknell a couple of weeks ago, and from that I've been picked in the Lions squad.
It's interesting because you've got, sorry Paul, you've got the obviously the hand-eye coordination and the diving skills, but you're quite tall for a wicketkeeper. Wicketkeepers tend to be quite a bit smaller generally.
Yes, there's a lot more pressure on thighs and lower back, that's for sure. You just got to stay down that little bit longer, I think, if you're taller.
Yeah, I love it. The fact you're in the Lions, which is the development squad. I love it. At over 60, you've still got time to develop, which is great.
Absolutely. I'm not eligible to play for the over 60s until I turn 60, which is in August. So they've got the Lions team, which is a development team, and like a pathway team to trying to get into the full national side.
But that means you'll miss there's an over 60s World Cup in Canada. You won't quite make it, will you?
No, my birthday is actually in the middle of the tournament, or right near the start of the tournament. I don't know if your birthday has, if you have to be 60 as the tournament starts, or whether it can happen through. So I'm not quite sure, but I'll wait and see.
Did you play a bit of recreational cricket when you were playing football, or weren't you allowed to?
Not allowed to, I'm afraid. I played a lot of schools cricket, and then for about 5 or 6 years, men's cricket down in Cornwall. Played Cornwall schools cricket. And interestingly, my captain of the over 50s team that I played for in Cornwall, Sean Hooper, was my under 15s captain for Cornwall when we were coming up through. So it's a good story.
That's good.
Where'd you bat?
I was going to ask you about your batting. Yeah.
7?
I'm sort of mid to late order. I've opened in the past, but as I've got older and playing men's cricket now in the last sort of 10, 15 years, I've been sort of thrown down the order a little bit now because there's younger, fitter, stronger players that can hit it a long way, going above you now.
So when do you expect to play your first game then? Hopefully when they get back from the World Cup with the trophy. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be nice. We've actually got a game against Scotland on Friday at Seaton Carew Cricket Club, which is in the northeast. So I'm looking forward to that. That's the next game that I've got to play.
And do you sort of chirp a bit as a wicket keeper? Do you like to try and get inside the batsman's head?
Not really. I'm not too bad. I might remind people how important it is they don't get out and things like that. But I never personally attack anybody in that way. It's more psychological with me.
Now the game has changed a lot since you retired, football-wise, Nigel. And there used to be a protected species, goalkeepers, and people think They still are, but generally this season they haven't been. But we did see a pretty high-profile example yesterday, which I'm sure you've seen. What did you make of that as a keeper?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that probably in the late 80s and 90s you would have got away with, and it did start to sort of develop towards the end of my career, probably, where we did get a bit more protection, because I think for a while we were targets, and it's more the arm on your arms is the problem, because you're bringing your two hands up to catch the ball, and strikers have realised for a long time that if you actually can stop a keeper bringing his arm up to make the catch, then you basically make him one-handed, which is kind of what happened in this case. There was a lot of attention on him, and I think it was probably just about the right decision.
I mean, he had an option. I mean, both his arms are up as we see the stills. There is an arm round his neck. We know that, pushing him down. But I suppose then there is an option to punch, isn't there? I guess.
There is. I mean, he's probably made his mind up that he's catching it. So in his mind, he's going up to catch the ball. I mean, we were always taught, if there's less people around, that's the time to catch it. And if there's a lot of people around, then you make that decision for a strong punch. It's the same for the keeper. If you can manage to leave a little bit on the strikers while you're doing that, that was all fair game.
Yeah,
it's a penalty now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
That's the problem. Goalkeepers, they say that they get the protection, but if they step out of line, so you kind of feel that in your day it was a bit of a free for all. Then it changed, but we're kind of back where we were. How would you feel about being a goalkeeper now, considering all the grappling that goes on and the impeding of goalkeepers?
It definitely makes it much more difficult for you, because you're coming to catch the cross. You want to take the pressure off your team at that moment when you're sort of leading 1-0 and it's right at the end of the game. If you come and take that corner, it takes a huge amount of pressure off your team. So that's probably what David was looking to do, and obviously for the opposition, it's to put as much pressure on him as you can.
Yeah,
which they kind of did.
I mean, I think Shagan was saying on Match of the Day last night, he kind of felt that Rad didn't maybe need to come for it. He kind of got himself involved when maybe he didn't need to. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I think it's probably the pressure of the situation makes you think, right, I need to come and do something here. I was always a firm believer of, you don't get involved unless you really need to as a goalkeeper. Sometimes if you go looking for work, that's when mistakes and things can happen. So he probably thought, if I can do something on this corner that takes the pressure away from my team. So perhaps it was slightly premeditated, and he did get drawn in there. But obviously, if he gets a good punch away or catches it, his teammates will be all over him.
And just a quick one on Leeds. Ahead of tonight, they are home and hosed. They haven't got to worry about relegation anymore. It's been some turnaround since November for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, they've been tremendous. Everyone sort of looks at the Man City away game at half-time when Daniel changed everything. And, since then they've been tremendous. I've seen them quite a few times at Ellen Road, and they seem to now belong. I think that was the thing they had to get over. I think they thought at the beginning of the season it's always going to be a struggle, but I think they now feel more comfortable there. And their form of I think they've only lost 4 in the last 21 games in the Premier League, which is quite incredible, really.
Nigel, all the best for Friday. Enjoy the game, and we look forward to you playing for the England Lions and more. So, all the best. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Andy.
There we are. There's Nigel Martyn, former England Leeds Palace keeper and England Lions cricketer, over 60s.
Lovely.
Soon to be. And that game is live on talkSPORT, of course. Spurs Leeds this evening. Adrian Durham, Sam Matterface and Danny Murphy will be there for us. You can get your calls into the sports bar afterwards.
Yeah, it's a different sort of game, isn't it? If Leeds had needed something from the game.
Well, we're going to come on to that because we saw Burnley yesterday with absolutely nothing. We saw the two different faces of playing without pressure. We saw Wolves, and we heard what Rob Edwards had to say about that.
Terrible.
And we saw Burnley, who gave Everton a game. So we are going to be chatting to Steve Morrison later on to get a bit of an insight into playing with and without pressure. Of course, he's the former Millwall striker, and we're going to bring you the second leg of that Championship playoff semi-final tonight. Millwall Hull, and that'll be over on talkSPORT too.
the performances that you've seen from Chelsea. I mean, the Brighton game.
You can't defend what Chelsea have done.
Why have they given
Caicedo
an extra year?
You cannot defend what Chelsea have done. There is nothing positive to say about the way the club has behaved and the club has been run, the club have played this season. There is nothing positive.
You can have 3 or 4 maybe that you see in a team that are not doing it, but there's so many games this season I've seen Chelsea players, every single player is not running around. Yeah. Every single player is not trying.
Gabby,
every single
the
player is not
statistics are
tracking
clear.
back.
They have been outrun in every single Premier League game. After 10 games, the alarm bells should be ringing.
And in fairness, you can moan about the way the club is run. You can moan about the model. You can moan about the revolving door of managers, which we were told, by the way, when they hired Graham Potter, they weren't going to be that club anymore. They've got worse. But there still has to be individual responsibility. There still has to be professional pride. And there isn't in that dressing room.
You got Fofana getting taken off in a recent game.
Well, I have to say,
he's garbage.
There is he's got a history of falling out with everybody.
Incredible,
bad signing. What? You know,
Who signed
off the back of a long-term injury, and guess what happened? He got injured.
He didn't play for nearly 2 years.
Who could have seen that coming?
But even look at all Chelsea's centre-half options. Listen, Chalobah, decent player, not at the level where Chelsea want to get to. Badiashile, not good enough. The Sassy, who's at West Ham on loan, not good enough.
He's actually played quite well for West Ham.
I know, but where Chelsea want to get to, all of those centre-halves, you're looking at it and saying, that's not a back line.
Especially when you spent 2.5 billion quid.
How much do all those players cost?
They signed a goalkeeper in Robert Sanchez, who Brighton made no real effort to keep.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With the headlines at 2:02, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. IFAB will look into grappling during corners after the World Cup. Yesterday's controversial VAR call has split the football world in two. Former Premier League ref Graham Scott gave us his verdict.
My preference in the moment was for the goal to stand, but I actually think it is the correct decision because it is a foul. And therefore, probably, when I've had a bit more time to think about it, we'll probably say, yeah, fair enough. It is an intervention.
For Arsenal, none of this matters. They're 2 games away from the first Premier League title in 22 years. But a man that won that title, Martin Keown, says it ain't done yet.
Look at Man City, what we're dealing with. And creating an energy. Will Pep be there? Won't he be there? Bernardo Silva hanging up his boots to go somewhere else. There's a drive and an energy to get to the finishing line. You're up against Pep here. Let's not discount that. You have to earn this.
Meanwhile, London's Metropolitan Police says 4 people were arrested, 2 of which for assault after we understand a steward had their arm broken last night. Spurs can open up a 4-point gap to West Ham tonight if they beat the already safe Leeds, live and exclusively on talkSPORT. Elsewhere today, it's our understanding that Bournemouth are hoping to tie down Alex Scott to a new contract this summer. Also, Liverpool have unveiled the memorial that will be installed in honour of Diogo Jota and Andre Silva. And Frank Warren reckons Dubois v Wardley was one of the best events he's ever put on. He says there is a rematch clause, but that'll come in time.
He's got to recover that, as has Daniel. Those fights take a lot out of you, and it's definitely a fight I suppose all the fans would like to see. Whether it happens or not, I don't know, but that's going to be down to Fabio and his team.
He's also talked down suggestions Wardley should have been withdrawn sooner. Hear all the fallout plus an exclusive with Daniel Dubois' father on talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Just another breaking news line in the sports there. Beth Mead has confirmed that she's leaving Arsenal at the end of this WSL season. We'll have more on that in the next couple of hours. In the news, a Labour MP is collecting the names of colleagues who want the Prime Minister to resign by September, and stonemasons fitting quartz kitchens are getting a fatal lung disease. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Spring forwards with Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Patchy rain across central areas moving southwards. Sunny spells elsewhere, but a few showers over northern Scotland and eastern coasts of England, where it's breezy.
And it's on as even after the first leg, all to play for at the Den on talkSPORT 2 on Monday. Hull missing a good opportunity in the first couple of minutes, but that wasn't symptomatic of what was to follow. It was tense, a little bit niggly at times. There were moments of flair, but certainly some direct workmanlike football was in evidence as well. Neither Hull nor Millwall will be unhappy at the score at the end of the first leg, which is 0-0.
Yep, second leg of Millwall-Hull this evening, and Saints Borough tomorrow evening. It's always going to be cagey. They always are, aren't they, really, the first legs?
Yeah, it should be a great atmosphere tonight down there.
Absolutely. It's going to be live on talkSPORT too. Jim Proudfoot will be back to commentate. Tony Cascarino, the former Millwall striker, will be alongside him for that one. And joining us now to talk about that is the former Millwall striker, Steve Morrison. Hi, Steve.
Hi, you all right?
Yeah, good, thank you. You do wonder whether you're a fan of the two legs. We said the first leg of these games generally are very cagey because it's all. I mean, maybe just a one-off game at a neutral ground for the semi-finals wouldn't be a bad idea.
No, but also you're going to lose tonight, at the Den.
Yeah,
20,000 people, noise, which will be incredible. You'll lose that, won't you? You won't have that jeopardy, which I think tonight brings, and I think. The whole game on Friday night was two teams not wanting to lose, not wanting to give an inch, but it makes for one hell of a match tonight.
From what you saw, I mean, they've played them obviously this season, but from what you saw last night, you're pretty optimistic this evening?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. Everyone kind of has been saying they'll get it done tonight, but I think the onus is on Millwall tonight, which is different to what usually it's been in the Championship, hasn't it, this year? It's been, no one's really spoke about Millwall being there apart from they've been having a great season, etc., etc. And I just think tonight the difficulty is going to be the expectation and handling the expectation, because I don't think it's been there all season, and now you're at home, everyone's turning up there expecting them to win, and I think Hull obviously can go there with no fear, be solid, and ask Millwall to try and break them down. So, look, I want them to get the result. I just don't think it's going to be as easy as people think it's going to be.
No. Who are Millwall? I haven't seen a lot of Millwall. Who are their sort of key players, the players that have impressed you this season?
I think as a unit, they've been really impressive. They've lost 4 games away from home all season, which is an incredible achievement. Aziz on his day is a match winner. Coburn has been excellent. Ivanovic has been in his shadow a little bit this season, which off the back of last season would be a surprise. And at the back, Coops and Kramer have been rocks. So I just think I would like to see more in the final third than what I saw Friday night. I'd like to see Aziz be a little bit more confident in his 1v1 duels. I'd like to see Ballo, if he plays, to do the same thing. So it'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to see what team he selects. He could start with Ivanovic and Coburn up front, which will be brave. But with the way the game is going to go, you don't have to worry about getting around a deep liar who's going to dictate things. You can maybe be a bit more aggressive. And I think it's going to be an incredible atmosphere, and it'll be a really interesting game to see how it unfolds.
They're going to have to keep Ollie McBurney out for Hull. 17 goals this season, joint second highest scorer in the league. I mean, we had a chat with him in January. It was going well, but he's done so well this season. A bit of a second coming of him. What have you made of his performances this year?
Yeah, he's been incredible. He's always been a really good player. He said he's had a few issues, as we say, a few disciplinary issues. But look, he's a top player. He was excellent at Sheffield United. He's excellent at Swansea. He was excellent on Friday night. He's had a right tough ding-dong with Cooper and Kramer all night, and he keeps going and he keeps niggling and he keeps asking questions. And I think it was about 10 minutes to go where he has a header at the near post, which nearly creeps in. So, look, he's going to be a threat, and if you give him a chance, he might score. But yeah, look, he's been fantastic for him, and to score that many goals in the Championship is not easy. And yeah, he's one they're going to have to look after tonight.
In the other game, again, with this 0-0 going into the second leg, Southampton Borough tomorrow. I mean, everybody's loved the story of Southampton. They were sort of plucky in that FA Cup semi-final.
Wonderful against Arsenal.
They've been brilliant this season. Everybody's saying lovely things about them. But I think there's a few out there, a few of the neutrals, in light of what's happened with this Spygate that has kind of turned. It's not the players' fault. It's not the fans' fault. Maybe it's not even the manager's fault. We don't know because he wouldn't answer questions on it. But it's not helped, does it? Really, all this nonsense going on in the background.
No, look, it's so unnecessary. And look, from a football club's point of view, it's not a great look, is it? It's. I want to know what he was spying on, what they expected to see, because both the teams have done the same things pretty much since these managers have come in. Look, I think the game played out. Middlesbrough were far the better team, weren't they? And they just couldn't get the goal. So look, it's huge. It's added a little bit of spice to it, but also it's taken the edge off slightly if Southampton are the ones who kind of go through. So yeah, it's disappointing. It shouldn't happen. But yeah, it's another 0-0. It shows how tight. I think all of the playoff games across the divisions have been incredibly tight. There's one goal in it or no goals in it. So it's great. 2 nights of excellent football coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quickie. I'm interested in there's a lot of talk as we get to the tail end of the season about playing relaxed or playing when you've got something to play for. We're going to see Leeds tonight, safe against Spurs. So I'm often wondering from a pro's point of view, and I'm sure you've been in these situations where, survival's been confirmed or you're really not playing for anything. Do you play with more freedom or is there a bit of a let-off in a situation like that?
Do you know what? It normally depends how the game goes. If you start well and let's say Leeds get the goal tonight early, then that freedom to express yourself comes out really quickly and everything kind of comes off. But it's exactly the same the other way. If it does go against you early, you often have that, I don't really need to fight as hard to get it back because you don't need to. And that's just human nature. It's just, it is what it is. But obviously at the top level, then look, they're playing for the fans, they're playing for themselves. Obviously that's why people are at the top level for so long, because their level of professionalism and quality and their running power and what the expectations of them is so high. But look, it does human nature comes into these things, and I personally always liked a bit more pressure because it was something that kind of spurred you on. It's using that nervous energy in the right way. But yeah, I think it's you look at all the games have got Sank on them. Leeds are most probably the only team tonight that are playing with a bit of freedom, but that's credit to them as well with how well they've done and what a great season, and obviously shows you how poor Spurs have been. But I suppose the conversation in the dressing room is you want to spoil Spurs, don't you? That will be Leeds' message, and Leeds would rather not face Spurs next year.
Paul's just asking for a friend.
Yeah, just asking for a friend. I was hoping. So a fast start if any of the Spurs players are travelling in by car. That's what Steve said. Make 100%. A fast start. Well, I'm sure there'll be an expectation on that anyway.
100%.
Brilliant.
100%. Yeah.
All the best, Steve. Enjoy the game tonight. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. See you later.
You'll be hoping for a Wolves-style start.
Yeah.
So far, I hope they enjoyed Brighton Beach. The first 5 minutes, it was like they were playing on the pebbles.
Yeah, he wasn't happy, Robin.
It was a poor
really bad start. So, well, yeah, out the trap, Spurs. That's the question.
I'm sure they will.
Tottenham Leeds live on talkSPORT. The game Steve will be watching Millwall over on talkSPORT 2. That's the Championship playoff semi-final, second leg.
It's a slightly easier game. If West Ham had got that point yesterday, which they kind of deserved, it would have been a harder game for Spurs.
It's interesting to hear from a pro when you're playing in a relaxed way because you've got nothing to play for and you can just go out there and enjoy yourself and not feel the pressure. Or he said he always liked a bit of pressure, but we shall see.
He's right about the start. That's an interesting point. Yeah.
So, Andy Brassel joins us. It was all decided in La Liga yesterday. Marcus Rashford had a bit of a say in that.
Nice guy.
An El Clasico first. We'll be chatting to him about that and some other matters from around Europe. Elliot Minchella and Liam Farrell, the whole KR and Wigan skippers, will be here with the Challenge Cup trophy. They both booked their places, Wigan and Hull KR, at the weekend at the Challenge Cup final on May the 30th at Wembley, and we'll be telling you a bit more of that later on in the show.
Real Madrid striker Kylian Mbappé, who has faced criticism from his own fans after taking a trip to Italy on a mega yacht with his partner. He's recovering from a hamstring injury he suffered on April the 24th and was given some days off last week. He arrived back in Madrid on Sunday, shortly before kick-off, when Madrid played away against Espanyol. Many fans thought Mbappé should not have taken a break and should have stuck with the team, going through a difficult time at this particular time. Alvaro Arbeloa said, well, in their free time, each player does what they see fit, and I don't get involved with that. Mbappe's representative said part of the criticism was based on an over-interpretation of elements related to a recovery period, strictly supervised by the club, without reflecting the reality of Kylian's commitment and the work that he puts in every day for the team. So that was Mbappé and Real Madrid. But then there's Liverpool. What was going on with them? Danny's old club. Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk had to defend some of his teammates who were criticised for being abroad last week on a day off as they headed into the Manchester United game, a game they ultimately lost by 3-2. It was put to Van Dijk that some of his teammates had gone on holiday last week. He says, I'm not sure it was a holiday, it was a city trip. But I think if you're one day off and you don't have many days off, then you decide what you want to do with your family. We're not kids. Everyone's an adult. I wish we had a couple more days off at times because I think it works both ways.
You're amazing.
Right. Paul White! Sir Lenny Henry!
I was face down and the dog sniffed my crotch. It was very, very embarrassing.
Staying out for the summer.
Olivia Rodrigo was there to watch Barcelona claim their 29th La Liga title.
She in the dugout? She get on?
I mean, she could have got 5 minutes at the end. It was pretty much done and dusted. Let's chat now to our European football expert, Andy Brassel. Good afternoon, Andy.
Hello, fellas. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Yeah. So, they got it done. An emotional day at the Nou Camp, not just because they won the title, Andy.
Yeah, so Hansi Flick found out his father passed on the morning of the game. Still stuck around for the game itself, but gave an emotional speech afterwards, praising Barcelona as a club and the president and the players for how they'd looked after him as well. And I guess it's really a good example of just how Barcelona have taken to him and how he has taken to them. And Marcus Rashford's quite a good example of that, actually, because he's playing a completely different role to the one that he ever did at Manchester United, not just positionally, but ideologically. He's not the main player, or is never likely to be the main player anymore, but he stepped up at the moment where he really needed to. Deco was kind of mocked in some quarters last summer when he said the most important signing that we can make is cover for Rafinha and Lamine Yamal. And that's what he was signed as, Rashford. They were very clear about that from the beginning. Of course, Rafinha was only just coming back from injury and got 25 minutes at the end. Lamine Yamal stood next to Olivia Rodrigo, actually, in a very dashing Pink Stone Island number. Wasn't able to play either and will not be able to play until Spain reach the World Cup. So they needed Rashford to step up. And because he's sort of such an altruist now, his teammates had to tell him, you can have a shot from this. You don't have to just pass it to someone else. So he thought, maybe I should. And he did. And that was a brilliant opener and set Barcelona on the way in a game against Real Madrid, which I know there's been a lot of talk about Real Madrid this week because of the fallout between Valverde and Tchouaméni, but really just underlined, as if it hadn't been statistically underlined enough, just what an enormous gap there is between these two teams and these two clubs at the moment.
Yeah, they haven't really got a manager. Their recruitment is very scattergun, isn't it, Madrid? They're really in a bit of a state, aren't they?
It's interesting. The Jose return train seems to be picking up a bit of a head of steam. Andy was saying last week, what about Didier Deschamps? If anybody's going to get a tune out of Mbappé, but then I thought, well, he's had his moments with Mbappé as well. So, is he in the frame, Deschamps, or do you think...
No,
not at all.
It's going to be Mourinho, basically.
Wow.
Barring accidents. They're quite far down the line now. Mourinho gave, Benfica are playing tonight, Mourinho gave a press conference earlier this weekend to preview the game they're playing against Braga tonight, which is really important for them to qualify for the Champions League. And he was very careful to say... I personally have not spoken to Florentino Perez or any executive member of the Real Madrid board. He didn't say my agent hasn't. He didn't say my entourage hasn't, which I thought was a bit glaring. Look, I think in many ways it's a really unimaginative appointment, and I don't have any faith that it will get Real Madrid any closer to Barcelona. And that is with all the recognition that Jose Mourinho is one of the greatest coaches of the 21st century and of any era, really. But he's not peak Mourinho anymore. And Real Madrid need a change of culture. They had the opportunity to change the culture had they stuck with Xabi Alonso earlier in the season, and they just didn't do that. Basically, the main problem is there's one person who runs the club and he's 78 years old. And that is a huge problem.
It's going to be interesting, to see what else Jose's got to say. Harry Kane missed his first ever Bundesliga penalty. I don't think I saw him miss many for Spurs either. But what happened?
Not entirely his fault. Of course, he had missed one in the DFB Pokal and won the Champions League earlier this season against Union Saint-Gilloise as well. They're playing away at Wolfsburg, a team that are battling against relegation. And really, it turned out it was all down to Jean-Noël Bolossian, the young French defender with a big future for Wolfsburg, who's on loan from Bayer Leverkusen. Because it's very hard to get away with this nowadays, but he scuffed up the penalty spot without anyone noticing. It was spotted afterwards. And there was quite a discussion about it afterwards because Kane took the penalty and immediately he looked down at the spot afterwards. It went well wide of the post. Very unlike him. And then afterwards, he had Tom Bischoff, one of the younger Bayern players, going, this is absolutely unacceptable. And you had the goalkeeper, Jonas Urbig, perhaps characteristically of a more defensive player, going, well, they're fighting for their lives. What else would you do? I know it wasn't my team, but I completely understand him doing it. But look, Michael Olise scored a banger from absolutely miles out. Urbig had a really good game, and he's underlining his credentials to maybe succeed Manuel Neuer in the near to medium term future. So another win for Bayern, and it sets it up really well at the bottom of the table. I think Wolfsburg might look back on this and think, actually, Bolossian did us a favour, and thank goodness we only lost 1-0, because the three teams at the bottom and two go down automatically. The third from bottom goes into a playoff. One game left. They're all on equal points, and they've got very similar goal differences as well. And the teams that are bottom and third bottom, St. Pauli and Wolfsburg, play each other on the final day of the season. So, anything could happen.
Wow. In Italy, the Milan fans have had to watch Inter win the title, and now they may miss out on Champions League, you think, potentially, Andy?
Yeah, now the good news for them is they've finally found the way to goal again. But that was while they were losing 3-2 at home to Atalanta, a team that don't really have that much to play for between now and the end of the season. So it means they've been dragged back towards the pack. Look, you go back 6 weeks and they're a title contender. You look at the table today, and Inter, who won the Coppa Italia final rehearsal against Lazio quite easily, 3-0 at the weekend, 15 points clear, pending Napoli's game tonight. And there's a real bun fight between Juventus, Milan, Roma, who were 2-1 down in the 92nd minute at Parma yesterday and won 3-2, thanks to Nigel Martyn, and Como, who are still in the mix. They're assured of European football, having won this weekend. And Milan look at a total mess. They've not been scoring at all. It's really dried up for Christian Pulisic. But really, what they could have done with Nigel Martyn, they've been in for so many strikers. They've got so many strikers that they're not happy with, including Santi Jimenez and Kunku. As we said, Pulisic, who's iconic for them, but has really hit a buffer. He's not scored since late December. Nigel Martyn, bear in mind, he was a January signing for Roma. He's the second top scorer in the league. It's remarkable.
I'm saying Milan, I saw a stat last week. They had the longest unbeaten run, 24 games. Have they wasted this?
Yeah, they have. And you know what? They shouldn't be pulling up at this point in the season because, we've said like what a huge physical load there is in players. They've had no European football. This is their Antonio Conte debut season, essentially, under Allegri. And Allegri's drilled them really well. Defensively, they've been really good, but it's just fallen apart in recent weeks. And, they were never really good enough to be title contenders. But since the title has gone, or any chance of the title has gone, they've just kind of switched off a little bit, and all of a sudden now it's an absolutely mad panic. And there's at least one really massive club that's going to miss out on a Champions League place, because no fifth place business over in Italy. It's the top four, and that is it.
Just a quick one on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. What's he been up to? It's quite the story, Andy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He didn't play this weekend as Marseille won away at Le Havre narrowly because they'd had a little, after poor form recently, a little camp out at the training grounds, where you're gently invited to not go home for the entire week. And Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, in his words, he decided he thought that they needed a bit of atmosphere to get the team in a good place, put some smiles on their faces. So he recruited some young players to follow him round. And Bob Tari, who's one of the management committee, who was actually a really famous French steeplechase runner back in the day, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang emptied a fire extinguisher on Tari and his belongings and all his room. Tari went and complained to management, and Aubameyang was dropped. I've got to point out to you, Aubameyang's 37 next month.
It's pathetic, isn't it? Absolutely
It's just
pathetic.
totally bizarre. And, like the latest in just a really strange season for Marseille. They're still got a chance of making European football. They're not going to make the Champions League now, which was their bare minimum, really. After all the money they spent, they've got FFP questions to answer with UEFA as well. I think you'd think twice about extending his contract, wouldn't you, on big wages?
Nice one. Good to talk to you, Andy. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Andy Brassel, European football expert, back on Sunday with Trans Europe Express. Elliot Minchella and Liam Farrell, the skippers of Hull KR and Wigan, will be popping in to see us. They've both reached the Challenge Cup final at Wembley later this month, this weekend, and they're coming in with the trophy itself. That's all to come.
I'm going to go Friday after work pint, number 5, mate.
Number 5.
There he is. So do you want it? You ready?
Yeah, go on.
In number 5.
Number 5.
Friday after work pint. You've worked hard all week. You know, you want to go there, just have that first pint. You've earned it.
Number 4.
Beer garden pint. This can happen any time of day.
Good pint.
Any time, any day of the week. Yeah. Saturday afternoon, meet the lads. Sunday afternoon.
Good pint.
Right, sun's got to be
Number 3.
Football pint. The football pint's in. You meet your lads, meeting up Saturday afternoon or Sunday, whatever it is. First pint, in you go. We're going to get a beer again.
Yeah.
Number 2.
The holiday pint. Mr. O'Hara wants that one. Yeah. When you get there, you've done the journey. You've gone through everything you need to do. Passport, security checks, the journey. You get out, you smell, you feel a bit grubby. Don't care. You get on wherever you get to then you get to your destination. Bags get dropped. Sit there. You've earned this pint.
Yeah, it's a good pint.
Good pint.
That's my favourite.
There you go.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Airport. It's the only one, mate. Airport pint. It's the only one. You're there. It doesn't matter what time. Not with lads. No. Doesn't matter who you're with. If you're with me, 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 3, wherever it is, that's the point.
Do you know what's disappointing in this whole, ranking that we've done?
Have I missed something?
Yeah, well, your missus. There's not one pint that involves your missus. Not one. Where's Hannah in this?
I'm at the airport with her.
No, you're not. You're not at the airport with her. You're with Fraser Clarke.
No, hold on.
Hold on.
No.
Hannah's involved in none of these pints.
No, hold on. I'm at the airport with her, definitely. I'm definitely with a holiday pint. I'm definitely with football. I'm definitely not.
It's reported football's lawmakers IFAB will look at grappling at corners after this summer's World Cup. This after what's been dubbed the biggest VAR call ever, as West Ham's late equaliser against Arsenal was disallowed. Former Premier League ref Chris Foyes told us the right decision was made.
I think what you've got to do is identify the ones that are really clear. You know, those acts that have a clear material impact. But this one yesterday, as you quite rightly say, was a foul on David Raya.
The result leaves West Ham in serious relegation trouble and puts Mikel Arteta's side in the driving seat to win the title. Martin Keown's told White and Jordan Arsenal winning the Premier League and Champions League would make them better than the Invincibles.
Let's be fair, the Invincibles tag was a consolation for a team that probably should have won the treble that season. We went out of the Champions League and FA Cup in the space of 4 days.
Meanwhile, the Met Police made 4 arrests at the London Stadium, including 2 men on suspicion of assault. That's after a steward had their arm broken. Meanwhile, the new permanent memorial to Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva has been revealed by Liverpool. Jota and his brother died in a car crash last July. The memorial, Forever 20, features the lyrics to Jota's chants and will be built outside of Anfield. And Daniel Dubois' dad's told White and Jordan he wouldn't have let his son take a beating like that, and says Fabio Wardley should have been pulled out earlier than Dubois' 11th round stoppage. There's loads more at the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
Yeah, good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Now, we talk Super League, Rugby League every weekend, but we had the Challenge Cup semi-finals this weekend. We now have our two finalists. Hull KR will take on Wigan after fine wins for both teams. And
Big wins, weren't they?
Yeah. Not only have we got the two captains, Elliot Minchella and Liam Farrell, in the studio, we've got the trophy itself, which is a beautiful thing. I think based on the original, it was from 1897. It cost 60 quid, I think, to make it then, which was a Paul's win then, wasn't it? A huge amount of money.
It's huge.
But Elliot, Liam, good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, great. Thanks for having us. Yeah, great to be here.
Elliot Minchella from Hull KR and Liam Farrell of Wigan. So maybe we should. Where should we start? We'll start with your big win, Liam, at the weekend. That was some performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. We prefer for a tough game against Saints. They've obviously been travelling really well this year, and I think we just turned up with the right mentality, attitude early on in the game, and was under a little bit of pressure early on. But I think as the game built and we put some pressure on Saints, we got some points on the board, and we kept them to a 0 scoreline as well, which is always nice on the day. And defence win big games, so we're we was really pleased with the performance.
You don't often get a game to nil in a game of that consequence, really. So it was some defensive performance by you guys, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't. We spoke about the big threats as individuals, and they've got a lot of players you can score points from as well. And you've got Jackson Hastings and Jack Wells with these players, and to keep them to a 0 scoreline was probably more pleasing than scoring the 30-odd points that we scored.
Yeah, and a great defensive performance by you guys against Warrington yesterday, and pretty decisive in the end, wasn't it, scoreline wise?
Yeah, it was. Look, it was a tough game. Warrington have been going well as well. Like Liam said, I think defence wins games in those big ones, and we actually touched on Wigan yesterday. We recognised what they did the day before us, and we had to get our defence right. Warrington threw a lot at us. They got a great kicking game. Mark Sneed, pulls things out the bag and unexpected things. So yeah, we had to be on defensively. It wasn't a 0, but yeah, we're happy to progress and obviously book ourselves in the Challenge Cup final. So yeah, all good.
It's interesting to get your take on VAR in football, because VAR in rugby league, it's completely different, isn't it? I mean, it is. You hear what's going on. It's such a difference when you can hear them discussing it. At least you know why they've come to a decision, even if you don't necessarily agree with it.
And we've got the captain's challenges now that came in a couple of years ago. I mean, last time we spoke to you down the line, Elliot, you were on a good run. I don't know if that's changed since then. But are you a fan, Liam? Do you think it was a good idea? Do you like the idea that if you're not happy with what the referee says, you've got an opportunity to get the sort of TMO to look at it?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. We've sort of followed the NRL in that respect. They came up with it first, but I think for us to have opportunities of players to try and criticise the referee's decision and come up with what we think's right, and I think at the moment it's working really well. The only thing I'd say is maybe to progress it a little bit, maybe put a time cap on the captain's challenge, because I think at the moment there's some decisions what can take a little bit too long, and the game sort of getting the momentum took out of it.
Well, your game was like that yesterday, wasn't it? Sam Burgess, the Warrington coach, wasn't happy. A 2-hour, 10-minute match because of a lot of captain's challenges. How are you? Does it frustrate you as players?
It does, yeah. Like Liam said, it kills the momentum. Luckily, yesterday I got 2 right, so extended the run. But he's right. I would like to see a time limit brought in. And yesterday, I think Warrington had 2 inconclusive, so that means that they wasn't sure. But that went on for several minutes, two occasions. It kills the momentum. I think the atmosphere as well. The fans don't want to be sat there, not knowing. And yeah, it can kill the momentum of games. So for me, yeah, I'd like to see a time limit brought in. But I think it's a great concept that we've brought in. To be able to challenge the referee if you think the ref's made a wrong call, you can challenge it obviously in the right way. And luckily yesterday we had 2 that went our way. So they can make a difference as well. We had one yesterday which we got a penalty and kicked a penalty to 2 points, and it can prove pivotal come the end of the game. So yeah, it's a big thing that they've brought in.
It's a great day, the Challenge Cup final. We've both been. I've been to Wembley. I went to the one at Twickenham, which was an odd thing, seeing rugby league at Twickenham. But it is, and we always make the same point about the fact of the fans going there, being together, not just the fans of the 2 finalists, but people who love rugby league.
It's probably worth pointing out because there may be people who don't understand what the day is. I had a friend who was a big Saints fan, and all the guys in his pub would it's like a Christmas club. They'd all put in. They're going to get the coach from Prescott. They'd come to the game. Doesn't matter if Saints were there or not. They'd all just come to the match. So it's like a big rugby league party, really, isn't it? Everybody's in their own shirts. There's never any trouble. It's a great atmosphere. Everybody's giving each other clog in the bars around Wembley. It's kind of like a festival. It's a lovely day out.
Yeah, you're right. It's like a party atmosphere. It's for everybody to be involved in, not just the two sides that are there on the day, but obviously there's the women's game on before as well, so that'll be well supported. And then, like you said, every club will have buses going from the local amateur clubs and pubs, and there's different shirts you see in the stadium, so it's great. Everyone comes together. There's never any trouble, and there's just a healthy respect, I think, between rugby league fans. Everyone recognises that you can support another club, but have that with respect as well. There's never anyone carrying on, but yeah, it should be a great day. Really looking forward to it, and got fond memories of it.
I mean, yeah, you've lifted this, Liam. You have as well, Elliot. So I mean, what's the atmosphere like when you're playing in that game at Wembley?
They're intense, particularly when you're going to have two clubs like Wigan and Hull KR, two massively supported clubs. You're going to have, fierce rivalry there, but at the same time, there's a lot of respect between the two clubs. I think as a spectacle for the competition, it's going to be great. Two teams have been flying over the last couple of years, had some really good battles, and when you're going to Wembley, you go into a stadium where it's never ending and you never see the top of the stadium. It's just a great place to play at, and to get 65, 70,000 people in there, coming down from the northwest more than likely, and it makes for a great day and a great atmosphere.
But I'd say to people who haven't got a chance to go, if they can snap up a ticket and they're just they'd love to go and sort of take in the game, it is a great day, even if you're it's just a great experience. So I think there's a lot of people out there that watch a bit of rugby league but maybe don't follow a team, could still come along and have a cracking day out, I think, and watch a brilliant game, because you two teams are flying at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially in London, the way the Broncos are going so far as well. Any rugby league fans down here, get yourself down and watch hopefully an entertaining day. Yeah, 100%.
It's interesting that the two of you are promoting this game together. You obviously get on well. You wouldn't see that in football, would you? You just wouldn't.
You probably wouldn't. Would you get the two captains together before an FA Cup final?
You just wouldn't.
I suppose it's different. I mean, you've got to sort of park anything once you're off the pitch, haven't you?
Well, yeah, they never told us we were going to be doing this. So, like Liam said, I think there's a healthy respect between the two clubs. We recognise that Wigan have been the benchmark for a number of years in rugby league. So, yeah, a lot of respect between the two clubs. And, if we play our part promoting the game, then, it's what we've got to do.
Now, add a bit of spice to it. You've got to play each other at your place. Is it your place in the league?
No,
is it yours? At Craven Park. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's in what, that week, 10 days or something?
2 weeks time. Yeah. Makes it very interesting. I think, traditionally some teams would rest players the week before a Challenge Cup final. In the past, we've chosen not to. There's different tactics to teams. There's chances of players getting injured, suspensions, things like that. But at the same time, you want players going into a final flying as well. So it'd be interesting to see what both teams do on the day.
Fantastic. Well, we're looking forward to it, fellas. Thank you for popping in. Thanks for bringing the trophy. And it's bad, like you don't want to touch it. You're not touching it either of you, are you? I think it's being brought in and out.
I think if you've won it before, you're allowed to touch it.
Yeah, but not before the game.
Oh, right.
That's bad luck. I think they're keeping away from it. But Elliot, Liam, thanks very much. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we'll be keeping you in touch with that game on May the 30th. We got some Super League for you this weekend on Sunday. Bradford Bulls versus Hull FC. And we'll be talking Super League once again on Thursday. Talking of Rugby League, the band the Reytons are big fans. They've done gigs at around games, I think at Hull KR as well. And Johnny from the band is going to pop in and see us. They're off on a world tour, which includes every city that England's football team will play during the World Cup. That's been nicely put together, isn't it? So that's all to come. We're here with Tool Station.
Might only be 3.
Yeah, it could just be a short tour. It's the Tool Station Trade Club. You'll get 10% off all electrical and lighting products when you buy cable and flexes. First stop.
Jason Cunny was alongside Jeremy O'Hara on the Sports Bar after the game. He said he can see Arsenal shutting PSG down in the final.
Teta will not allow a basketball match. He won't. He won't.
Is it going to be a tactically defence then?
No, it won't be tactically defence, but I think that Arsenal, they're measured. Arsenal control games. They don't. Now, Arsenal are brilliant at doing that. They can be at times dull to watch because of that, but in a one-off game, who cares? I think Luis Enrique would probably want it being more open affair. I don't think Arteta will allow it.
Not the game we were expecting last night. You pointed out there, I said over 4.5 goals. I did think they're a bit well done to PSG and Luis Enrique for shutting out the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that proved there's another side to them, right?
Yeah, they can dig in when they need to. I mean, it helps they've got wonderful footballers, and I guess when you get a goal so early after 3 minutes with that attacking front line, it doesn't make the job easier, but when you've got the pace of Kvaratskhelia and Dembele, Doué can run, you've got Vitinha in the middle of the park, it does help the fact that you could just sit in there and defend, because it's counter-attack, no one's catching you. You're being behind them. So, yeah, it's gonna be fascinating now to see what happens in the final. PSG was probably the team I didn't want. I'd prefer Bayern, but now it's PSG. You've got to go out there and put a performance in. It's going to be difficult, and I've said it before. I think Arsenal, to win this fixture, potentially may have to be perfect in terms of they may have to put in the best performance they've ever put in under Mikel Arteta in any competition.
Is that the only way you can see Arsenal winning, by playing the best they've ever played?
I think they have to think defensively. They have to be rock solid.
Well, they are pretty much like that anyway.
Yeah, but there's still times you give it. Like, if you give that sawed-off opportunity to Dembele, he ain't missing that.
No, you're right.
Jumbo and Peter Capaldi! It just so happens that it's all you're amazing. Right. Paul White! Sir Lenny Henry!
I was face down and a dog sniffed my crotch. It was very, very embarrassing.
Staying out for the summer. And this old town is falling down. Familiar chords still turn around as the people passing by get by.
That is Busker's Paradise, new song, new single from the Reytons. And joining us in the studio is Johnny Yerrill, frontman of the band. Good afternoon, Johnny.
How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, we're good.
Guys.
Thanks for popping in. Sounds good. That's from the new album, is that right?
Yeah, second single from his new album, Love Letter to a Broken Town, which is out in July. So, yeah, it came out on Friday. Had a bit of a good response to that one. So,
That's good. Yeah. And you're just about to go on a world tour.
That's it, yeah. People keep reminding me, and I keep looking at, thinking, how long is it? And it's literally next month, and we better get practicing, really, don't we? You've tied it into some England group games as well. You're going to be playing a show in each of the US cities where England are playing their group game the night before each match. Yeah, that's a coincidence, isn't it? Yeah. Well, we know we've never done America before. This is going to be the first time Reytons have been out there, and obviously with the World Cup. We're an independent band, we've got no one making decisions for us. So when it comes to routing the tour, we just looked and thought, what perfect time to get out there. Hopefully, there'll be some England Reytons fans crossover there.
Yeah.
And
there'll be a lot
time,
I don't know if Gary Neville's going out, but he might pop along and see it because he's a fan.
He is coming, yeah. He's told us that he's going to be, I think he said he's going to be in New York, so looking forward to catching up with him.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and a lot of fans won't have tickets, but will travel out to America to absorb the atmosphere.
Yeah, that's it, the fan parks and stuff. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Do you get to England games much? I mean, obviously you're an England fan. Who isn't if you're English? But
do you know, it's been a long time, to be fair. I think
think last time I managed to watch England were at Old Trafford. It would have been a friendly many years ago, and regrettably, obviously, since COVID and the way that the band's progressed, I haven't really got to watch much football at all, to be fair, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Let's hope you can afford to buy tickets to some of the games, because the prices are not cheap, are they?
That's why I'm hoping Gary Neville's going.
See if he can get you in. So where you go? So you're playing in London, aren't you, in October as well? And
Yeah, so Ali Pally in London. Yeah,
Yep.
we've got the Co-op Live in Manchester as well, which, you know, is again for us as an independent band playing arenas, it's a massive, massive step. The last time we played in Manchester with 5,000 cap at Aviva Studios, we had a bit of stick on Twitter, or X as it's called now, people saying that we're, you know, not big enough for this. But where do you go? Do you know what I mean? We've done all the venues, so now we've had to take that jump, and I think 50% tickets went on day one of general sale, so ticking over nicely, and looking forward to it.
So what's the story of the band? How did tell us how you all sort of formed and stuff?
Do you know what? It's for me personally, many years of like just grafting and trying to make it in this music industry. We've all been in different bands and done different projects, and it kind of got to a point for us where it were, you know, beginning of 2017, so coming on 10 years now, and we just got, none of us had been in a band together that are in this band today, so we were just like, let's just as mates sit down and write some music that we like and that we enjoy, that we can relate to, and hopefully if we be that honest and transparent, then other people will get on board with it. And here we are now.
And you've built this sort of loyal following over the years, haven't you?
That's it, yeah. We've gone from having doubts that we'd ever play in Rotherham to selling out Wembley Arena and an unborn album, so it's been some journey.
Fantastic.
Where's the name come from?
Reytons, well, it's Yorkshire, isn't it? So,
Is it Reyton?
well, basically, when we're trying to think of names, I was driving down my road where I live, and some kids ran out and I went, oh, Reytons them, and that's it. Do you know what I mean? A right one. I guess.
A right one.
Is that what you'd say, Dan?
That's where it comes from.
Yeah, that's good.
So, so you kick off this tour in Norway, Dallas, Boston, New York, LA.
Yeah.
This all sound very exotic. It doesn't get less exotic. Madrid, Benicassim, you're playing there.
Festivals, yeah.
That's right. And then Dublin, Belfast, up to Hull. I mean, with respect, it's getting slightly less glamorous.
You've got to have a bit of Yorkshire in there, don't you?
But then a bit of Cardiff, a bit of Edinburgh, and then off to Japan. Are you big in Japan?
Well, not as big as I'd like to be, but you know, last time we went, we went a couple of years ago. First time we played, and surreal experience. You know, to grow up in Rotherham, you know, Clifton Park was Disneyland is one of the lyrics in our tracks, and to see a full crowd of Japanese people singing that, thinking they don't know what Clifton Park is. For them to be singing it with as much passion as we were doing it,
And then Australia.
Yeah. Third time for Australia, and it's amazing. Have you been to Australia?
Yeah, a couple of times. Not to Perth though, because that's where you're doing your gig.
Yeah, we're doing. I think we're doing.
Are you doing some more as well? You got some
Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, with the kind of the sort of global reach of your music now, there's going to be people in the audience in Dallas, but it's going to be fans, isn't there? Going to be people that probably can't wait to see you.
It's one of them because you get like a lot of messages and requests, and when you post, I mean, you can't win them all. As soon as we posted this, everyone's like, what about Mexico? And what about this place? What about that? And we are an independent band, so it is self-funded. So we've got to be really careful. We've got to take these risks. I mean, visas alone are ridiculous just to get to America. So to be able to go to these places, we're testing the water. I have no idea. You know, we're talking about how amazing America's going to be. Might get there, might be nobody there. Nobody knows, do they? But you don't unless you don't try, do you?
Gary Neville, at one point a couple of years back, ended up as the bass player in your band, or
he did, yeah.
Kind of. How close did he actually get to playing the bass?
He mimed it at Aviva Studios. Bless him. What a guy, though. We met Gary at Kendall Calling. We'd just come off stage, and he was stood at the side of the stage, and got chatting to him. And then when we announced the last year's tour, just dropped him a message, said, you fancy doing this bit of a parody sketch with us? And he was dead up for it, to be fair. He got involved, and he's been to a couple of shows after and that. And then when it got to the Manchester Aviva Studios gig, we were like, I didn't tell him until it just happened. And I went, do you want to go on? I'm going to introduce you. You're just going to come on. He was like, can you unplug guitar? And I'll do it. And I'm like, yeah. So he just came on, bounced around. First national news we ever got.
Oh, that's what.
So
cheers,
Gary.
can it? And you're talking about sort of pinching yourself sometimes from where you guys have come from or what you're doing, and you've got a foundation that you've set up as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it took a long time to get here. Do you know? I mean, we've had so many doors put in his face and so many obstacles to overcome. So we started the foundation a couple of years ago, and the aim really is not to. It's to level the playing field, basically. There's a lot of. I mean, we sell a lot of football shirts, believe it or not, even though we're a band, and well, Gary said we sell more than Salford, so that's so rather than when we first started making the shirts, obviously there's a manufacturer's cut that we used to split, so we manufactured ourselves this time, and then we give that share to grassroots football. So the first year that we did it, which was 2 years ago, we sponsored 50 football teams on grassroots football teams up and down the country. And this year we're going to go bigger, but it's not just with football, you know, like boxing, music, the arts, whatever we can do really to try and give young people in less privileged areas a bit of an opportunity. So we're doing a bit of a relaunch on that this week as well. So if you check out on the socials, you'll see all about it.
And who designs the shirts? Because they're nice. I'm just showing Andy a couple of them now. They've got nicely designed, quite funny old shirts.
We do, yeah.
Oh, you do it yourself?
Everything, yeah.
Really nice.
Including the trip to Antalya to get them made. It's literally... There's me and Rich who sat out there, and the other three lads are at home, and that's the team.
So you say you're kind of a self-funding band, and it's taken a while to get. Have you got any advice? I mean, the music industry is kind of different. You know, in the old days, you needed to get signed and stuff and get a deal, but you can kind of, you know, you don't need to do that quite as much. You can put your own music out there. You can be in charge of your own destiny a bit more these days, can't you?
Definitely. I mean, in terms of selling tickets and building a fan base, you don't need a record label. It helps to get thanks for having me on the show, by the way, because it helps, you know, unless you're signed to these major labels, you're never really going to get mainstream radio and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you don't need it. And for me, I keep saying it time and time again, persistence overrides resistance. You know, you keep pushing. It took me 20 odd years to get to where I am. And I used to sell CDs on the streets all over the UK to try and get me set out there.
I've got to write that down.
Yeah, that's gonna you're gonna put that up on the wall, are you? Yeah. Your motivational speaking. Well, it's a good line, and it's true, isn't it?
Good.
Yeah,
Very true.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the States and the rest of the world tour. Have fun, and so you get to some games that Gary can score you some tickets. I
hope so.
I'm sure if he can't, then
tag him in this, and he'll.
Yeah, listening today. We'll play out with a bit more of Busker's Paradise from the Reytons. Johnny, good to see you. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you,
in.
mate. I appreciate it, guys.
Johnny Yarrell there.
And this old town is falling down. Familiar chords still turn around as the people passing by get by with an old song
Let me apologise immediately if there's any smugness or glee from my co-host today. But you are used to Alex Crook by now. But Gabby Agbonlahor is also very happy. Put your cigar down. Great performance. Yeah. Well done. Congratulations.
Very much, thank you.
Do you reckon you could manage to be just a little bit humble because, you know, you haven't won anything yet?
Yeah, we haven't won anything yet, but, you know, Nottingham Forest fans, last Friday, the messages you were reading out, Sam, the callers, the direct messages on every possible social media platform I was getting, celebrating the fireworks. They had a concert after the game, only to get thumped on probably the most one-sided semi-final second leg you will ever see. Thumped. Couldn't get out of their own half. Light work for Aston Villa. Who's next?
I heard you having a go at the Arsenal fans this week, and Arsenal for having fireworks after they'd got through to the final in Budapest. I noticed, and I had pointed it out to you at least 3 times this week, that Villa have fireworks before every game, and they had fireworks before the semi-final last
fireworks,
night.
Mate. They're like sparklers that you have on your champagne when you're in a nightclub.
Might be on your champagne.
Yeah, they weren't fireworks. They're like little ones. What did the manager do after the game?
I don't know.
Emery?
It was definitely.
He clapped the fans for about 3 seconds and walked down the tunnel.
Okay, well, it was
Mikel
a champagne
Arteta
performance, wasn't it?
Was doing the Haymack Arena around the stadium. They're doing a tour of the stadium. You know,
he's quite used to getting to Europa League finals, so that's probably.
Oh, okay.
Is there not a small part of you that is worried that your legendary
talkSPORT update powered by the Nissan van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With the headlines at 3:01, I'm Tom Clayton. Good afternoon. IFAB will look into grappling at corners after the World Cup this summer. That decision at the London Stadium has pretty much split us all 50-50. The former Premier League ref Graham Scott sees it from both sides.
The problem with VAR, as we know, is it's not whether or not it's a foul, it's whether it's a clear and obvious error. And I'm not entirely convinced, but then I've just said that I think it's a foul, so surely at that point it is a clear and obvious error.
There was also trouble in the stands as some Arsenal fans supposedly sat in the home end. West Ham have said they'll track down those who sold them the tickets. Meanwhile, 4 people were arrested, 2 of which for assault, after we understand a steward broke their arm. Elsewhere, it's our understanding Bournemouth are hoping to tie down Alex Scott to a fresh deal this summer. He's already got contracts in place until 2028. In the WSL, Arsenal have confirmed that Beth Mead will leave at the end of the season, having made 263 appearances. Laia Kadina and Victoria Pelova will also leave the club. And Frank Warren says Saturday night in Manchester was maybe one of the best boxing events he's ever put on.
The main event was just unbelievable. Unbelievable fight. 2 absolute warriors who gritted their teeth and gave everything. And the place was rammed out, it was sold out, and everybody there they were just enthralled by it.
But there's a bit of blowback for how long Fabio Wardley fought on. Jim White's exclusively spoken to Daniel Dubois' father, who says there's no way he would have allowed the fight to carry on if it was his son.
I would have insisted that they stopped it. I was looking at it and I'm thinking, why are they doing that? Why don't someone stop it? Because he can get permanent damage. At least give him a chance to come back and fight another day.
Get all the fallout to a massive weekend of boxing on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
A Rebel MP is gathering names calling for Sir Keir Starmer to resign, and 20 Brits are beginning 45 days of self-isolation in the UK after being evacuated from a hantavirus-hit cruise ship. More from the news team at 30:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Saw your new tyres this spring at a time that suits you best from the comfort of your home or work 7 days a week with our mobile tyre fitting service. Conditions apply.
Patchy rain across central areas moving southwards. Sunny spells elsewhere, but a few showers over northern Scotland and eastern coast of England where it's breezy.
Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
It's time now for today's Bet Builder with our friends at Paddy Power. We welcome Fern Buckley once again. We're going to look forward to tonight's Premier League match as Tottenham play Leeds, a game I'm off to straight after this. Good afternoon, Fern.
Good afternoon. How are you both doing?
Not too bad. I'm a touch nervous, I must say. Big game for my lot tonight.
Yes.
So let's just remind people first how the Bet Builder works.
Yeah, of course. We've all made some picks across different markets, added them all together to get some overall value. And Paddy Powell have chucked a tenner on it, hoping we get it right. Because if we do, it is a charity bet and it helps out the Attitude Foundation.
Okay, I'll kick us off. I think it'll be a tight game, and I was quite tempted on sort of under 3 goals. I could see it being a 2-1, a 1-0, or 1-1, perish the thought from my point of view. But I've gone both teams to score anyway.
I was going to say for your nerves, I'm sure you're hoping in the best way possible. But yeah, this is a bet. It's landed in 3/4 of their head-to-head meetings as 2 teams. And outside of that as well, Leeds have scored 10 goals in their last 5 matches. They've been scoring well. Don't hate me for saying it. Spurs have been conceding in most of their recent home games. So yeah, it is a popular bet on Paddy Power. That is in at 13-20.
Okay, what have you gone with, Andy?
I just think Spurs are going to win. They need to win. They have to win. Leeds are safe. De Zerbi's had a definite effect on the team. They've got very good players that just been underperforming like mad. I think they'll win this game.
Yeah, and they won their last 2 games unbeaten for the last 3. And when you look at their head-to-heads, Spurs have actually won 6 of the last 7 home meetings against Leeds. So it is another popular pick. And a Spurs victory is in at 3-4.
Producer Sean has gone with Dominic Calvert-Lewin to have at least 1 shot on target.
Yeah, and he's recorded at least one shot on target in 5 of his last 6 Premier League matches, and he's averaging just over 1.13 shots on target per 90 minutes at the moment, just to be absolutely precise. So that's in at 8 to 13. He's a super sub as well, so if for any reason he comes off, Paddy Power will protect your bet.
The popular bet with the Paddy punters who are having a bet builder with you is Ampadu to be shown a card.
I feel like this is a really popular one we've been doing in most of our bet builders recently, isn't it? I feel like it's come in quite a lot, but he has been booked in each of his last 2 matches. So given the nature of the game tonight, almost 2,000 people have this in their bet builder this afternoon. But they can see him getting booked, and that is in at 2 to 1. He's also another super sub as well.
He's a very competitive player, so that's why he always ends up getting booked.
And Fern, what have you gone with?
I've gone with Richarlison to score or assist, and I know he had a bit of a minor knock against Villa last weekend. Apparently, he is fit to start. He's been directly involved in goals in both of Spurs' last 2 matches, provided the assist against Wolves and scoring the winner against Villa. So I'm going with a goal or assist, and that is in at 10 to 11.
Okay, so what are we looking at across the odds on this one then?
Not bad for tonight. I feel like if it happens, it's good amount. It all comes in about 17 to 1. So from a £10 bet, we'll get a return of £180. And if it's right, it all goes to the Attitude Foundation, who do great work with the LGBT community. And hey, it makes us feel better as well, doesn't it? That
Indeed.
Get them on the money.
Well, if it does come in, it means Tottenham have won, so I'll be absolutely delighted.
Exactly.
Because of Andy. So there we are. Thank you, Fern. All the best.
Cheers, guys.
That's Fern Buckley. Yeah, that's Paddy Power's bet builder for today. Minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's super sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Andy told us earlier on he didn't watch Chelsea versus Liverpool at the weekend. He watched James Martyn's Saturday Kitchen instead.
It's good, isn't it?
So we asked you, what did you watch instead? Harry from Hertfordshire says, I'm a City fan. I didn't watch the Everton game because I had a horrible feeling we were going to drop points. So I watched Waterloo Road instead. So we are building an alternative viewing from the football, and for what reasons? We had some interesting ones come in. I watched the whole omnibus edition of EastEnders whilst VAR was looking at the West Ham goal, says George, the Manchester United fan from Bexley Heath. All 3 Godfather films, says Gibbo in Whaley Bridge, during that VAR business yesterday. What else have we got? Some other programmes that people... Oh, yes, I couldn't watch the playoff semi-final at the weekend. I watched James Bond from the bushes in my garden instead, says the anonymous Saints fan.
Okay.
And when Burnley scored the second goal on Sunday, I went to go to watch Bar Rescue, says John, the Villa fan. So, John, thank you very much for that. But I've never seen Bar Rescue. Have you seen that?
No, what would be like Gordon Ramsay goes into a bar and saves the bar, that sort of bar?
It probably is. Now, look, consultant John Taffer and his companions travel across America to help bars improve on their services and arrest their...
I love the original ideas in telly. It's tremendous.
Yeah, it's just basically going there
Not Gordon Ramsay or anything like that whatsoever.
Shouting at bar owners. Simon from Lincoln says, up the Banbury cake. When United played Leeds at Old Trafford the other week, I knew Leeds would win, so the wife put on Below Deck to cheer me up. Have you ever seen Below Deck, Andy?
No, I can't say I have.
An American reality television series that premiered on Bravo in 2000. The show chronicles the lives of the crew members who work and reside aboard a super yacht during charter
Tremendous.
season. And he did that instead of some Premier League football. So thanks for all of those so far. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089. Tweet to TSH&J. And we had an omission. We left Dance off the list of thank yous for clips of the week. And I realised our old mate Crackers had been left off the list as well.
No.
He was the one who suggested Dean Saunders getting confused with his sitcoms when he was chatting to your man. So sorry, Crackers, I put that right. And just a reminder, if you hear a clip on TalkSport between now and Friday, send it in to us. Tell us when you heard it, day and a time when it went out, and you'll get a credit. We'll make sure you get a credit. talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089 or tweet to TSH&J.
I've got 2 World Cup stories for you.
Good, yeah.
Good old Jerry Lawton. We mentioned him last week. He's now onto his 4th scare story.
Oh, good, yeah.
This one's incredible. The iconic stadium where the World Cup will kick off is sinking.
Really?
And bits of it
What, is
are
it quicksand?
dropping off.
Quicksand?
It says, hold on, where's it? It's it had to have 14 steps added to its base after it sank. Yeah, but that was in, that wasn't in 1910. That's recently, because it was built in 1910.
Is it sinking or not, Andy? I think we need to know. Certainly if you've got tickets.
It's plummeting by up to 10 inches a year. Well, that's about an inch a month. So
Can you
during the game?
I'm not sure the word plummet works with 10 inches a year. Does it? Plummet. Not really a plummet, is it?
And our old mate Brian Linford has been writing about the World Cup. He can't wait.
Yeah, of course not.
He says, cannot wait for the World Cup.
Yeah, he writes in capital letters and shouts. Andy shouts those for us. Yeah.
The is also in capital. Football Mecca, remembering too Baden-Baden FIFA Germany 2006, known for the England Wags culture coverage, who went wild. Colleen Rooney, Victoria Beckham, Cheryl Tweedy, Becky Vardy, Lizzie Cundy. Full stop, at last. They commandeered more newspaper headlines than back page match coverage. Did anyone remember Italy won it? Says Brian. Well, I did.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much for that.
This letter.
Got bored watching City pass it back and forth at Burnley. Flicked over to Married at First Sight Australia, says Ian in Manchester.
Not that.
So alternative view into the... So we kicked off with James Martin, Saturday Kitchen, Bar Rescue, Waterloo Road, Married at First Sight Australia, and Below Deck. That's what we've been watching instead of our football teams. Quite a lot of nervous gooners yesterday. Steve the Gooner says, rather than watch the game, I went down to my workshop. I'm restoring an old motorbike and had 80 wire spillworks to wheel spokes to strip. Put on my ear defenders and managed to strip 52. Then went back indoors and saw the result. He says. Thank you, Steve, for that. Anything else, Andy? You want to run past us?
Gets a bit tense.
It does.
Well,
yeah.
Oh, not really.
Okay, well, that's good. Well, that's it. You're done.
I think, they're not.
You hold your fire because we're going to chat to a West Ham fan next. Friend of the show, broadcaster, podcaster, and journalist and author Sam Delaney would have been there to witness it all unfold yesterday and all the frustration of it. We'll get his take on it, where it leaves West Ham, whether he's still keeping the faith because Spurs have got to do their bit tonight and not at the weekend, actually, after they've played at Newcastle. But anyway, we'll get the thoughts of Sam Delaney later on. We'll look at tonight's game against Leeds, which is live on talkSPORT from a Tottenham perspective. Tom Walnut covers Spurs for the Times and is behind the Tottenham Way podcast, one of the team on there. And stuff going on in the world of women's football today. A big announcement from Beth Mead. We had Bunny Shaw winning the Women's Football Writers Player of the Year, and some big results at the weekend in the Cup, and of course some controversy without VAR. So that's all to come before we hand over to Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent would drive. But we're here with the Toolstation Trade Club. You'll get 10% off electrical and lighting products when you buy cables and flexes. First stop.
Content creator and Palace fan Ollie Thomas is with us this morning. A very good morning to you, Ollie. How are you?
Morning, Ollie.
Morning. I am. I'm good. I'm a bit tired, as you can imagine, but I'm good. And thanks, Dean. You're right. We are the best fans in the world.
It's debatable. It's debatable, Ollie. I'm joking. I have a soft spot for Palace. My sister plays for Palace. They just got promoted, and yeah, I mean, fair play to them. Your manager. I mean, the fact that he is leaving and he might win a third trophy before he goes is crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's obviously sad that he's going, but I think it could have turned a bit sour and did turn a bit sour at the start of the calendar year. And fair play to Steve Parish, who held his own and didn't sack him. And it's now kind of become a nice send-off. And I think everyone wants to win it for Glasner as well, rather than it being like a bitter goodbye, I suppose. I think we've channeled that departure really well. And yeah, I'm feeling confident. It's weird watching a Palace team that just repeatedly turns up in big games. Like, I'm just not used to it. Every single big game we've basically ever had under Glasner, we've turned up, played really well. So hopefully we can do it one more time.
Why do you think he's leaving the club? I'm trying to work it out myself. Because he must
Reckon
realise
he
that
wasn't
Palace.
guaranteed. I mean, they got rid of the best players and they didn't replace them, and he'd won trophies, and they still hadn't got that right. Would that be it, Ollie? Would you think he was frustrated with how the club has been run?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he basically did exactly the same thing when he was at Wolfsburg and Frankfurt. Like, the timelines are very similar in terms of he comes to a club, starts really well, does really well, and then falls out with the board. And he's been obviously very open about the fact that he didn't think we should have sold Eze, didn't think we should have sold Gahey, or at least when we sold them.
It just so happens that it's all you're amazing.
Right. Paul White! Sir Lenny Henry!
I was face down and the dog sniffed my crotch. It was very, very embarrassing.
Staying out for the summer.
Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Tottenham Leeds live on talkSPORT this evening. We'll chat to the Times' Tom Allnut from the Tottenham Way podcast a little bit later on to build up to that one. Spurs know what they've got to do, having watched that game unfold yesterday. Hearts in mouths for a lot of Spurs fans who were conflicted, obviously, yesterday. Kind of wanting Arsenal to win, but still finding themselves celebrating West Ham's equaliser like muscle memory. But, of course, we know it was ruled out. And I know you'll find this hard to believe, but Martin Keown, the former Arsenal defender, when he joined Jim and Simon earlier on, he felt it was the right decision.
Of course he did.
To rule out
Not all biased.
West Ham's equaliser. This is what he said.
It was an extraordinary game, Jim. The drama involved. Obviously, the VAR decision. You know which camp I'm in on that. There's actually 3 fouls on the goalkeeper, Raya. It was quite extraordinary. His shirt was being pulled. There was an elbow across his face, and his arm was being held. So I think they came to the right conclusion. Why it took so long, not completely on board with that.
To get the right decision.
Yeah, I think maybe if they're not sure, but it seemed quite certain to me. And it was justice in the end.
Never in doubt, says Martin.
I remember Martin condemning all the goals Arsenal have scored from obstructing the keeper. He always comes out and says, no, that I don't even know why it was given. Honestly, these people.
Well, let's see what a West Ham fan, friend of the show, broadcaster, journalist and author, Sam Delaney made of it all. Hello, Sam.
Hello, chaps. How you doing?
Yeah, not so bad. I take it you were there yesterday, Sam.
I was there, and as is the way in moments like that, I celebrated, but with a sense of doubt, even as we leapt up in celebration, because you always have a feeling, especially when, I mean, from where I was sitting, it wasn't like I could see a foul specifically, but I could see what was undoubtedly a melee, and our keeper had gone up, and so you think there is no way this is just going to be as simple as that, because that's the way we're all conditioned now as football fans to think when our teams score in those circumstances, and then you wait. And as soon as the wait begins, you're just certain, because, that's the kind of mindset that we're in at the moment as West Ham fans. We had a similar situation against Brentford last week, where we had a goal that was seemingly perfectly legitimate from a corner ruled out for. I think that one was by a very tiny offside. I'm not sure, but we seem to, the luck is never really on. It always feels like it's against you at a time like this, and so I had no doubt. As soon as there was any hesitation, I was like, he's going to go to the monitor. It's going to be ruled out. What I have not done today, and this might disappoint you because I might be perhaps here to counter Martin Keown's point of view, but I haven't looked back at it on TV because I can't bring myself to. The frustration is too immense, and really it doesn't make much difference to anyone now, does it? I mean, on the train on the way home, there was a couple of people ranting on about the injustice of it and bringing up the amount of times that Arsenal have gone unpunished, having scored goals in similar circumstances. And one older fella who's probably been through the mill watching West Ham for many more years than anyone else on the train just said, quite politely, stop talking about it. It doesn't make much difference to any of us now because what's happened.
That's true.
It's awful. All I'm looking at, I'll be going up to Newcastle this weekend throughout this, this sort of survival bid, which has been an exceptional effort by West Ham, considering how far we were behind in January. I've been at all the games home and away, and I've gone to all of them with hope, and I still have hope. We'll see what happens in Tottenham Leeds tonight, but I think, because it's been such a blow to us, those two results, especially the way yesterday panned out, a lot of West Ham fans have kind of given up. But I think it's a shame. We'll see what happens tonight, but there's 2 games left, and as it stands, we're 1 point behind Tottenham. Tottenham have found a bit of form, but the idea that we could get 6 points from our last 2 games and Tottenham get 4 remains plausible for now. It might not do this time tomorrow, but for now it seems plausible.
Look, it's Leeds.
It's a massive game tonight. If Spurs win, then it's looking really
it'll be tougher, and you'll go to Newcastle with more pressure on you. Spurs win tonight, but that's still a big if. Leeds' record has been great. We were chatting to Steve Morrison earlier on about playing with and without pressure. He thinks it's all about the start. If Leeds make a good start, they think, yeah, boys, we're enjoying this. If they find themselves 1-0 behind, then maybe they won't be able to find that extra gear because they know they're safe. But it's interesting what you said about the old boy on the train saying, stop talking about it, it's not going to make any difference. I see West Ham, the club, have asked for the audio, the VAR audio.
Right.
But I mean, you think, what's the point? They're not going to play. They're not going to play it again, are they? They're not going to replay the match. It's so frustrating, and you can rail against it.
This is the way it is for football fans now, and you have to kind of acceptance is an important part of keeping your sanity because. When we survived relegation in our Great Escape in 2007, we beat Manchester United on the last day at Old Trafford. And, it's always rankled with us, the fact that Sheffield United wouldn't accept that result and sort of took it all the way through the law courts. And we've always sort of mocked Sheffield United for just not taking it on the chin. And I don't want to be like that about this situation. Of course, I feel as if it was really unfortunate and unfair yesterday. But that's football. And I'm sure we've had luck on our side at other times in the season. And there's no point. I didn't know that about West Ham, but I would really urge them not to sort of turn it into something because it has affected every club. And, we're up against Tottenham. I'm sure, I couldn't name the situations, but I'm sure Tottenham have faced bad decisions like that.
Against West Ham.
Well, you could argue, I mean, funny enough, a few people flagged it up, but the Callum Wilson winner against Spurs in the 2-1 earlier this season, there's an arm across Vicario, but then the narrative of that was Vicario needs to be stronger. I've not heard anybody say Ryan needed to be stronger at any point in this whole debate since yesterday.
I don't know if is that in the rule book about how. I mean, it feels a bit subjective to me about judging how strong a goalkeeper is or should. Who's making that decision? Yeah. He's not strong enough. There's someone in the room saying he's not been strong enough. Yeah, well, exactly. It's a good point. I mean, I'm grateful for you to bring up that that goal and that result because, God knows I need something to perk up my mood today, and that's a happy memory. But yeah, exactly. I mean, it just happens, and I know some people want to rant and rave, but it really makes no difference. It's absurd that West Ham would try to pursue this in any way because, the idea that anything would be turned over would be a can of worms. You'd be going back through the last 10 seasons once you start letting something like that happen. I think it just tells us what most of us already know about VAR, that it's kind of ruining fans' enjoyment of the game. So, that's that. We move on. And all I can hope is that, we've got Newcastle away on Sunday. And then the following week, we've got Leeds at home. You've got, Leeds, Chelsea and Everton. So, for now, I feel it still is kind of up for grabs, to be honest.
Well, it's good. It's good to hear the optimism. I mean, if
it had been a normal Chelsea, then I would have said, yeah, that's going to be a tough.
Well, you played well at the weekend. You showed a bit of a spark.
But they're playing after the final, so you think either they get thrashed by City or lose to City, so they're on the floor.
Yeah.
Or they win and they're on
the lash.
What's incredible about this relegation, about this season, is what it's done to London rivalries. Because I cannot imagine what it was like for Spurs fans watching that game yesterday.
Yeah.
And similarly, Chelsea, every Chelsea fan I've encountered for the last 6 weeks, West Ham and Chelsea fans have been talking about this game at Stamford Bridge next weekend with a sense of excitement, anticipation. Chelsea fans have made numerous promises to me that I don't think they're qualified
it's the last game of the season.
Deliver on.
Yeah,
the last game of the season, and these players owe the fans.
And of course, Chelsea would love to send Tottenham down.
Well,
of course they would.
They'd certainly like to.
Yeah, that's why tonight is so key. So you'll be pulling on your Leeds shirt at about 5 to 8. Sam, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Billy
Always
Bremner, Johnny Giles, going for all the names.
Great history, great fans, and what a team. And I'm sure they'll want to do their absolute very best. You've still got to go to Leeds and get something.
We have. That's it. Yeah. Good to talk to you, Sam. Appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Nice one. Cheers, lads. Bye-bye.
Sam Delaney, author, journalist and broadcaster. West Ham.
From a neutral point of view, it is a shame that goal didn't stand, because it would have made the title race much more exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it was...
Basically, it's Arsenal's now, isn't it?
It was, PGMOL, Howard Webb and the gang, they're going to be just absolutely distraught that something so huge, top and bottom of the table potentially, has come down to a VAR.
It's unfortunate, isn't it? Yeah. But,
anyway.
Most people think he got it right.
Big announcement in the world of women's football today. Some games to reflect on and some controversy where VAR wasn't in place. Angelina Kelly pops in and joins us for a chat in a few moments' time. Then we'll build up to Tottenham Leeds live on talkSPORT tonight from 7 in the company of the Tottenham Way podcaster and Times journalist.
To join Arsenal was the biggest achievement in my career, but the way the things end up was a little bit not nasty. But at the end of the day, I'm happy. They are happy. They know, you know what, life goes on. If you ask me if I regret, I don't regret. But I'm happy also giving them something back, because at the end of the day, if I can't represent and defend my parents, I don't know who will do it for me. So it's kind of doing my job.
You're spot on, Emmanuel. I don't blame you at all. I would have done the same, mate.
Thank you.
Looking at the title race, Manchester City messing up against Everton. How do you think it's going to go? Who do you think will win it in the end?
Who do I think will win it? If you ask me today, I will still tell you that I think Man City will win it, but I would like Arsenal to win it, because it has been over a decade. They have been fighting for that even when I was there. We were fighting for it. Obviously, in April, then sometime in March and April, it's all over. And we drop points at Wigan, at Bolton, wherever you can call it. Then we saw the league sliding out of our hand. But this year, they're doing quite well. And the good thing is that defensively, they are very good. But now they have to win the last 3 games to win the league. And obviously, Man City, again, dropping points at Everton. They will come back stronger. They will manage with their manager, with the players, with the experienced team they had. they will do everything possible to win the last 3 games and wait for Arsenal to drop points so they can be champion. But trust me, it's not going to be an easy task for both of them. Let's see who win. But I wish, for the first time, I wish Arsenal wins it because they have been working towards this for so long time.
It's reported football's lawmakers IFAB will look at grappling at corners after this summer's World Cup. This after what's been dubbed the biggest VAR call ever, as West Ham's late equaliser against Arsenal was disallowed. Former Premier League ref Chris Foyes told us the right decision was made.
I think what you've got to do is identify the ones that are really clear. You know, those acts that have a clear material impact. But this one yesterday, as you quite rightly say, was a foul on David Raya.
The result leaves West Ham in serious relegation trouble and puts Mikel Arteta's side in the driving seat to win the title. Martin Keown's told White and Jordan Arsenal winning the Premier League and Champions League would make them better than the Invincibles.
Let's be fair, the Invincibles tag was a consolation for a team that probably should have won the treble that season. We went out of the Champions League and FA Cup in the space of 4 days.
Meanwhile, the Met Police made 4 arrests at the London Stadium, including 2 men on suspicion of assault. That's after a steward had their arm broken. Meanwhile, the new permanent memorial to Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva has been revealed by Liverpool. Jota and his brother died in a car crash last July. The memorial, Forever 20, features the lyrics to Jota's chants and will be built outside of Anfield. And Daniel Dubois' dad's told White and Jordan he wouldn't have let his son take a beating like that and says Fabio Wardley should have been pulled out earlier than Dubois' 11th round stoppage. There's loads more at the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
Interesting quotes from Joe Cole just come in. He would like to see Jose Mourinho come back to Chelsea. Just say, rebuild my club for me. We're going to step back. You just get us back on track. But that isn't the way that this board works.
Not going to happen, and I'm not even sure it's a good idea. Because...
Well, he looks like he's found another gig. Alex Crook joins us now. Hi, Crookie.
Afternoon, boys.
So, yeah, as we said earlier on to Andy Brassel, it looks like it was moving on apace, the Jose to Madrid train. So, where are we at?
Yeah, that certainly seems to be the direction of travel. In fact, it's been suggested to me this afternoon that it's virtually agreed now that Real Madrid are going to reunite with Jose Mourinho. Of course, he's in charge of Benfica at the moment. He's had a pretty successful period since returning to Portuguese football, but there is a break clause in his contract at the end of the season that means a club can pay Benfica €3 million. He'll be a free agent, and that will enable him to move on. As I say, I think it will be back to the Bernabeu. I'm fascinated to see how this works out. It's been described to me as Real Madrid's worst season in a number of years. We heard about that dressing room bust-up last week between 2 of their star players. Obviously, it was a dismal defeat in the Clásico to Barcelona, handing them the title. So there's a lot of work to be done. But it's not the first time that Florentino Perez has gone back to someone that he knows. And I think in Jose Mourinho, they see someone who can come in and assert that dressing room authority that maybe Xabi Alonso struggled with all the egos that they have on their books, and clearly Arbeloa is struggling as well.
Good stuff, Crookie. Thanks very much.
No worries.
There's Alex Crook there, and we'll keep an eye on that story. Andy Brassel was sceptical, I think it's fair to say, earlier on, our European football expert, that was going to work, but the chairman or the president does what the president wants. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, we turn to the world of women's football, where a couple of hours ago there was a big announcement. Angelina Kelly has joined us. Hi, Angelina.
Hello.
Beth Mead has decided to leave Arsenal after a pretty stellar career there. She's only 31. I take it she'll go on playing. Do we know what her plans are?
Well, you're right, Beth Mead. 265 appearances, 86 goals across her 9 seasons with Arsenal. Created the assist for Stina Blackstenius' goal in the Champions League final last season. She has been playing this season. I know that she had an ACL injury in 2022, which did affect her, but she's still playing, and I don't think that she'll be hanging up her boots anytime soon. talkSPORT understands that a move to Manchester City could be on the cards. Viviana Miedema, who plays with Manchester City, is her partner, so that would probably make sense. But there were reports linking London City Lionesses. We know that they've got a big checkbook, but this one kind of makes sense, even though she's still playing and she's been playing well this season overall. She's behind Olivia Smith, Chloe Kelly, Caitlin Ford, whose contract is also up. We're not too sure if she might be offered a new deal in the pecking order. Also, Arsenal linked with Hoffenheim winger Selina Churchy as a replacement. She's 25, scored 16 goals in the Bundesliga from the wing, so could be a good refresh for them. But yeah, it will be sad to see Beth Mead leave Arsenal. She is Arsenal when you think about the side, but she's been a wonderful servant for them, and they won 3-0 at the weekend with one of their games in hand against Aston Villa, which means that they have secured Champions League football for next season, meaning that my team, Manchester United, will not be playing Champions League football. So yeah, that was a bit of a blow for me, but yeah, good for Arsenal considering they drew against Brighton midweek. They came out pretty quickly, Russo getting the first goal in the 4th minute, so overall a good performance from them. But yeah, Beth Mead to go, Leia Kadina and Victoria Pelova will also leave at the end of the season. No surprises there, to be honest, but Arsenal will be needing a refresh in a few areas. Georgia Stanway has been linked with them, on Abaye, Barcelona fullback, so we'll be expecting a few moves this summer with Arsenal.
But could she be Bunny Shaw's teammate, Beth Mead? Because it's not definite that she's going to go. I'm a member of the Football Writers and I voted for her, and I think she won it sort of pretty comfortably. She had a great season, but there was a lot of talk about her going, but it's possible she might stay. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it was very interesting because her contract is up in the summer. Reports are stating that she will not be signing another one with Manchester City. She was close to agreeing a new deal, but there's been a few stumbling blocks. The fact that she's 29 years of age, a little bit injury prone, maybe she wanted a contract longer than what City would offer, which to me seems crazy that Manchester City would lose a player like Khadija Shaw over something like a contract, considering she basically got Manchester City into the FA Cup final at the weekend. Yeah. They beat Chelsea 3-2.
I think you'll find that was the linesman.
And he's still better.
I agree with you on that one. Sam Kerr should have had a goal, but the referee deemed that the ball had gone out of play when Ellie Carpenter was crossing it over to her. It was not out of play at all. But yeah, regarding Bunny Shaw, Chelsea reportedly are willing to pay her £1 million a year. For comparison, Sam Kerr is on about 450k, so it's a massive leap. Barcelona, teams in the NWSL are interested, London City Lionesses, of course, with their checkbook. So it will be interesting. This would be like Andy Cole leaving Newcastle for Manchester United. If Haaland right now turned around and said, I'm going to go to Arsenal, it's that big. And for me, there's no real reason for City to lose this fight to keep Shaw, because there's no PSR restrictions in the WSL, although there's a very soft salary cap. But if Sheikh Mansour wanted to pay her, Haaland level wages, I mean, it wouldn't be sustainable, but they can technically do it. So I'm not too sure why they're willing to say goodbye to Bunny Shaw, because City will have European football next season. They're going to need to strengthen. So yeah, would be absolutely huge for Chelsea. As much as they've got Sam Kerr, her contract is up in the summer. She hasn't committed to a new one as far as we're aware. So getting a player like Bunny Shaw in would be massive.
The other story of the weekend is Brighton reaching the FA Cup final as well. Yeah. It's quite a story, beating Liverpool. Another 3-2. They were both quite incident-packed, goal-filled games, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. You kind of feel a little bit sorry for Liverpool because 22 minutes in, they're 2-0 up, and you consider the beginning of their season, they were candidates for relegation, to be completely honest, and it seems like things are starting to click kind of at the wrong time at the latter end of the season. But Brighton's goalkeeper, Chiamaka Nnadozie, was absolutely fantastic. Really kept Brighton in it. Brighton have recently beaten Manchester City 3-2 in the WSL. That's who they'll meet in the final. So I don't think they'll be too scared. I was at the Brighton-Arsenal game on Wednesday night, and they rested about 7 players and still looked absolutely fantastic. So they've had a really good season overall, and I think it's deserved. I mean, Liverpool should be proud of their performance, considering they've won 4 out of 21 WSL games this season to have got this far in the FA Cup. I'm sure they'll be proud of that. And I think for Gareth Taylor, the former City manager who's coaching Liverpool, I think that there's green shoots there, definitely. And going into the new season, there's definitely something tangible for them.
Where are you with on the men's side with United and Carrick?
Oh, dear. Manchester United. You know what? I am yet to find a name that would suit Manchester United better than Michael Carrick that is available. As far as I'm aware, Luis Enrique is with PSG. He's got a Champions League final coming up. Thomas Tuchel is committed to England. Julian Nagelsmann with Germany. Even if you took somebody who is coaching a national team, I think the World Cup final is a day before or a day after Manchester United's first pre-season game. So it doesn't make sense. Michael Carrick has done what has been asked of him, and he's done it quite well. Listen, the Sunderland game wasn't good. I think that it shows that once Manchester United aren't playing with their full, strong 11, there are issues. They are weak still. So that was very telling. But I think he's got them into... Who would have thought? I would never have thought in a million years that Manchester United would have got third. I was hoping for top half of the table. So to have done that, I think that he deserves props. He deserves praise. And why not give it to him? Because at the end of the day, if it gets to Christmas, it's not working out, you don't have to stick with him. You can...
You don't really want all that up.
You don't want another waste.
No, of course not. No. But I think... if you're going to take a chance on him, he's done everything. He's ticked all the boxes to deserve that chance.
Yeah. Angelina, thank you. We will see you. You got another Inside Devils coming up?
Yes, that will be tomorrow. And then at the weekend, I'll be at West Ham, Manchester City to watch Manchester City women lift that trophy. 10 years since they won their last WSL title. So that'll be a nice day out with my neutral cap on, of course.
Oh, of course. That's right. Yeah.
Funny enough, I won't be watching them.
Yeah, be sitting there booing. We'll see you next Monday then. Thank you very much. That's Angelina Kelly there. Tom Allnutt from The Times and the Tottenham Way podcast joining us next en route to the Lane tonight, where Tottenham play Leeds live on talkSPORT. A crucial game for Spurs. If they win it, they give themselves a little bit of breathing space on West Ham. But that's a big if, because Leeds are playing well at the moment. We'll get the thoughts of Tom very shortly. We're here with the Toolstation Trade Club. You can save 10% on all electrical and lighting when you buy cable and flexes. First stop.
Let's not worry about other teams. I'm sorry, West Ham, not our problem. Okay, you lost 3-0 to Brentford. You've got 3 games. Go and beat Arsenal on the weekend. Do it yourself. Aston Villa, worry about Aston Villa. And the players, they took it easy. My daughter was there in the whole end. She's like, Dad, why is everyone walking? It was walking football from Aston Villa. But then when you see a performance like that, where they've put in 100% every player, you don't care about that. Up the Villa!
Up the Villa!
Up the Villa! Istanbul!
Do you want the hands mask? Put the hands mask on.
Gary's putting the hands mask on. Up the Villa! Up the Villa! Up the European Villa! Istanbul! Istanbul! Let's go! Let's go, baby! Boys,
do as anyone see. Do as anyone see.
Yeah. Go on, Gary.
Let's set it up for Gabby.
Sorry. Has anyone seen Maximus Scott? Where are you, Max? We need some news. Robin Hood, the Prince of Thieves. Sherwood Forest. Friar Tuck. Where are you, Friar? The original boots chemist. Hooters. Is Hooters closed? I used to open Hooters. Close Hooters. Shut it down. Matt Ford. Do us a favour, mate. Stuart Broad. Where are you? Chris Wokes. Better player. Where are you? Tricky Trees. Rock City, HB Sauce, where are you? Notts, Forest.
And Big H has killed me. The Big H has killed me.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win, because we're giving one lucky listener the chance to win a massive £25,000.
Oh my God.
Go to talksport.com/win to enter now, and you could win 25 grand in your hand, tax free.
Oh, that's incredible.
Get that winning feeling courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Thank you very much.
Find out how to enter now at talksport.com/win.
Stay in the bottom three. It finishes here on what feels like a defining afternoon. West Ham 0, Arsenal 1.
Which way will the relegation battle swing next?
Tottenham Hotspur are 2-0 up at Aston Villa. The Spurs club motto is to dare is to do, but for most of the season they haven't done anything, but they're doing it now.
This is the first time I've thought they're going to stay up.
We must remain humble. Nothing changes.
West Ham will be relegated before Spurs play Chelsea.
And turned in! Leeds have got a third goal! Leeds are going to be safe in the Premier League.
43 points feels really good, I have to say.
Leeds will spend again, and they will spend big.
I think the manager's done tremendous for our football club.
Massive injection and hope in this relegation dogfight.
If we put on that for the rest of the season, we will be okay.
Gabby's right, isn't he? Because if Spurs win tonight and West Ham lose, they'll be 4 points ahead.
Yeah, with one game left. But, you know, look, it's a big if. Leeds are a good side. They've been good on the road.
Ish.
Well, let's see. Tom Allnut joins us. He's part of the Tottenham Way podcast and football writer for The Times. Good afternoon, Tom.
Afternoon. I like the way you put the Tottenham Way first. Ahead of the Times.
Well, it's relevant to this conversation, I guess. Yeah. You've been talking about the team and you're writing about the team all season. We know Villa weren't at it the other day. That's pretty clear. But having said that, there was a kind of identity we started to see, which we've not had with Tottenham really all season. We saw a way of playing. And I suppose tonight is all about whether they built on that.
Confidence and a bit of energy as well.
And a way of playing, a structure, a style, if you like. And we can see there's a bit of DNA about it. So what are your thoughts ahead of tonight?
Yeah, they look like they have a plan, didn't they? You know, and I think for the first time in a long time, we've seen Spurs I wouldn't say straight away under Frank, but for the majority of that Frank tenure, and then particularly under Tudor seemed to kind of come in and decide that actually the best way to sort of get this team going was to retreat really and play kind of a 4-4-2 and defend and make everything back to basics kind of football really. And I just don't think this team is built for that. You know, let's remember that this squad was basically designed for sort of Ange ball, right? It's a Postecoglou team essentially. Mm. They weren't going to get out of trouble by defending the way out, by digging in and playing, deep lying football. I didn't see that performance that Spurs played against Forest, for example, 4-4-2, get it wide, put it in the box. I just didn't feel like that was ever Spurs' kind of route to safety. I think De Zerbi's come in, and I don't think it's just a sort of an emotional thing where he knows this is what the Tottenham fans want, this is the Tottenham way. I think he's looked at the players and says, actually, these players are good enough to play a more front foot style. And and not only is that obviously going to resonate with the fans, but I think it resonates with the players, you know, and everything we hear about from the players in the last 2 or 3 weeks. They love the training sessions. They love the one-to-one meetings, the little details and the tactical advice he's giving the players to improve them as players. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, after Tudor, we were all talking, you know, what's the best thing here? And it was a really difficult decision. Is it Hoddle and the Redknapp kind of arm around the shoulder, go back to sort of a Spurs person? But actually, you think about it, what modern day players want is they want coaches who can coach, who can improve them as players. And I think you see that straight away in the last 2 or 3 weeks. What De Zerbi's made an impact with is that this team really feel like they can get better under this manager. And I think you're seeing that straight away.
Oh, I think if Spurs stay up, they'll be in top 6 next year. I really believe that. They'll recruit better. They'll get a lot of injured players back. And he's a very good manager.
A lot of that has got to do with whether this board have realised that they've had a lucky escape and that you can't play fast and loose with the Premier League, because you can't just think we can get by anymore. You know, their kind of hubris, their arrogance, I think, to an extent, in that we're Tottenham, we'd never find ourselves in this mess. If it's a wake-up call for them and we start to see decent investment, buying quality players, maybe paying higher wages, then I think Tottenham might be top 6. But
these players back,
you'd like to think they would have learnt from this board.
I think there's been complacency, like all the way through, be the kind of the word I would use. If you think about in January, of course, you know, where they'd thought that basically they could kind of postpone their major business until the summer, because I think at that point they sort of thought, well, the relegation battle is sort of there, but we're not really going to be in it. I think the way they hired Tudor, I think they also thought they could kind of get in a proven-ish manager who could just kind of do the job until the end of the season. Every sort of major decision that's happened over the last 12 months, I think, has sort of come from a place of, we don't really believe, we're Tottenham Hotspur, we don't really believe that we are going to go down. And they have come very close. And I have to say, it's not over. You know?
No, absolutely.
I know West Ham are, you know, at the moment on the floor, and maybe we'll come to the game tonight. I think it's very much on Tottenham now to kind of put the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, but two successive West Ham defeats have really helped Spurs. There's no question about that.
But if they do survive, I think you're right. I think it has to be a big summer, and everything we hear from the club is that they have big plans, you know, and I think there are two parts to that. One, in terms of the team, because the players, there will be, you know, De Zerbi's telling us that every single player right now is a world beater, but I bet behind closed doors he's thinking, this guy maybe not the one for the long term. And the other part of that is rebuilding the club off the pitch, because Daniel Levy leaves, and what you have there is about 50 vacancies that suddenly fill in, because, you know, Levy was doing all those jobs, and that's going to be a big project as well, and they're going to definitely do some hires off the pitch as well this summer.
So on to tonight, and we were talking to Steve Morrison earlier on. He was talking about the mindset sometimes when you play a team that haven't got a lot to play for, and in that, if they make a good start, if Leeds make a good start, they think, oh yeah, we're enjoying ourselves, they'll start popping it about and having a good time. If Tottenham make a fast start and score first, he says it can be human nature sometimes that you have a bit of a drop-off, because, you know, their race is run. They've done brilliantly and they have survived. So a fast start is key tonight for Tottenham, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting take on it, because you sort of think about it psychologically from Leeds' point of view. I can't help but think they watched that game last night and the players just kind of go, you know, they sort of have an exhale and a breathe a sigh of relief, because let's not forget, this has been their season, right? Is to stay up. I mean, it's looked increasingly likely for a while now, but I think, you know, when you get that moment, you know, it's entirely natural that maybe we'd expect them not to be quite as intense. And I actually think if you flip that round and look at it from a Spurs point of view, exactly the same. You know, Spurs need a positive start, because their home record this season, I mean, it's one of the most remarkable stats that going into this weekend, Spurs were still third in the table in the away record, you know, like, and they're 19th at home, you know, and it sort of suggests that, okay, we can look at all the things, you know, there are so many factors right behind Spurs' collapse this season, and the injuries and the, you know, the signings and the off-field chaos, whatever, Frank's appointment, whatever you want. But the home form is right up there as well. You know, like, if they could have a home form that was even 7th in the league, they'd probably be pushing for the Champions League. So the home form is absolutely crucial, and part of that is clearly playing in a way that the fans will get behind. And, you know, because of the kind of ingrained negativity from this season, they need a good start, because I think if they concede a goal, then suddenly everyone goes back into themselves, don't they? We've seen that from the players so many times.
They do need to kind of pick up where they left off at Villa Park, don't they? With that style, being front foot, breaking up the play, playing with intent. It's got to be that again, I think.
And that's what the fans want to see. You know, I mean, we can look at what went wrong under Thomas Frank, but ultimately it came down to style. It came down to style. That the performances at home, going all the way back to sort of November, October, you know, had fans at the game against Chelsea, for example, was a real early alarm bell, wasn't it? Where fans were saying, we don't want to play like this.
Yeah.
You know, and I think if the fans tonight see a team from the off, front foot, playing with the ball, wanting the ball. You know, we talk about this with De Zerbi.
Yeah.
I love this thing that he says where he says, I don't want brave players to be going in and throwing fists in people and getting sent off. I want brave players who want the ball, you know, in tight areas, in difficult positions. That's the kind of courage he's asking from the players. And I think that's what the Spurs fans want as well.
Yeah.
I just think that had that game gone differently and had Leeds still needed something to stay, it would be a different game.
Yeah.
It looks a completely different game to me as a neutral, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It's in your hands now, isn't it, Spurs? You know, you look at it, I think a couple of weeks ago it looked like West Ham had that opportunity. You know, and you think about that Brentford game now, they had a couple of chances to really put the heat on Tottenham. I think they just let them off the hook a couple of times, and now Spurs had that chance to do that to West Ham.
One of the things that could be a problem for them finally is that they don't have that depth in the squad because of all the injuries at the moment. Although there is some talk about a little cameo from James Maddison tonight, potentially. I don't know.
They talked about that last week, didn't they?
Yeah, I
They
mean,
didn't need him, so.
he has been sort of De Zerbi's kind of backed off a little bit, but maybe he would do if he feels like he can get 10, 15 minutes out of him. Do you think that's a possibility tonight?
He's been good in training, apparently.
Yeah.
You know, people are saying that he's been really good in training, but I think the thing they have, and De Zerbi was quite interested in this in the press conference, he was basically saying that every single day they're kind of having a meeting about Maddison now, where the medical staff come in, the coaching staff come in, and the Maddison as well is involved clearly, and they're talking about his condition, his recovery. So it's very much at that kind of end point of analysing whether he's ready. It's just that thing, isn't it? And I think De Zerbi said this. Is he ready for the intensity and the rhythm of the
Premier League? You know, you can't just come in and you haven't played for a year and say, "Oh, I'll be fine for 15 minutes."
Yeah, because you don't want him just being.
Can you be?
You don't want him robbed of the ball and Aronson running up the other end and scoring a goal. Yeah, that's
the Premier League, and also it's sort of the hottest of the hot in the Premier League. It's the relegation battle where Spurs need a result. So I mean, I think if they were sort of throwing, Hail Marys, then maybe you bring Maddison on for the last 10 minutes, you've really need a result. I think in the ideal scenario, they probably won't. He'll be a vibes man in the dressing room again.
You'll be doing a Tottenham way tomorrow, I take it. Were you off the back of the game?
Yeah, always reacting. Yeah, we'll do a reaction pod tomorrow. Reacting to hopefully a victory, but let's see.
We'll see. We'll let you get off to the game. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Tom all out there from the Times and the Tottenham way. That's us. I'm off to the lane as well. Myself and Andy will be back tomorrow to pour over that. The game is live on talkSPORT. All the build-up from 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock kick-off, and you can get your calls into the sports bar. Let's hope it's a good night for Jamie O'Hara for a change, and he's not getting the full Jason treatment. So we'll see you tomorrow. Coming up next, though, to build up to that game, and of course, look back on what went 1-0 at the London Stadium yesterday. It'll be Andy Goldstein and Darren Bem.
The performances that you've seen from Chelsea. I mean, the Brighton game.
You can't defend what Chelsea have done.
Why have they given
Caicedo
an extra year?
You cannot defend what Chelsea have done. There is nothing positive to say about the way the club has behaved and the club has been run, the club have played this season. There is nothing positive.
You can have 3 or 4 maybe that you see in a team that are not doing it, but there's so many games this season I've seen Chelsea players, every single player is not running around. Yeah. Every single player is not trying.
Gabby,
every single
the
player is not
statistics are
tracking
clear.
back.
They have been outrun in every single